Allow me to welcome you once more to this year's Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit featuring the Digital Impact Awards Africa 2024. Like I noted, I'm Nicholas from High People. High People is a mouth-first organization that does events, music, digital, finance, FinTech, among others. We have been running for the past 20 years. To give you a simple recap, High People started 20 years ago as a social entertainment platform. It was developed from Akeda University, purely Ugandan product. We have since grown from being just a social media platform to becoming the biggest promoter of African music, the biggest advocate of digital and financial inclusion across Africa, the biggest advocate of digital health across Africa. Among our key projects is the annual Include Everyone program. So the Include Everyone program has several projects among it. These include the 40 Days for the FinTech initiative, the FinTech Landscape Exhibition, the Women in FinTech Hackathon, Summit and Incubator program, the Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit, and the Digital Impact Awards Africa. So ideally, our year in matters digital and financial inclusion starts with 40 Days for the FinTechs. Then we do the FinTech Landscape Exhibition. Then we do the Women Focused Project, which is the Women in FinTech Hackathon. We do a summit for the women developers and an incubator program. Then as we wind up the year, we do the Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit featuring the Digital Impact Awards Africa. So I can confirm to all of you that whoever is here today, you are here to witness our last Digital and Financial Inclusion project of the year. Before we kick off, we had 40 participants that participated in this year's 40 Days for the FinTechs initiative. And we hadn't issued their completion certificates. Together with our CEO, Shout Neza is going to give away the 40 Days for the FinTechs certificates to participants, after which we shall kick off the summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. I would like to congratulate all the companies that participated in the 40 Days, 40 FinTechs. And now, allow me invite our CEO, Innocent Kawoya, to do the honors of handing over the certificates. Okay, so we are just going to kick off immediately. And the first one is AgriShare. AgriShare is represented by Managing Director, Pozake. Let us call Homo East Africa. Thank you and congratulations. And Village Enterprise, ClinicPesa. Next would be Tawaza Digital Varieties, and next will be Easy Circle, Rent Better, Trillion Look Store Limited, Senes, Mobipe Agrosys Limited, Zimba Technology, FutureLink Technologies, Ticketio Technologies Limited, Zeno Investment, Fido Credit, PesaJet, SchoolPal, AgriShare, PesaSave, Bele Beauty, My Doctor Digital Healthcare Services, Kuzimba Services, Isoko, Ismart Africa, Faras Technologies, Haduka, Pay Later Health, Cray Microfinance, Kawu, Lifex Africa, Eurosat Group of Companies Limited, Jumo, PayTota, Axiom Zone, and Nexa Merchandise Uganda, Venro Health, ETG One Stop. Thank you so much, our CEO. So we are now starting our Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit officially. That of the first panel is discussing the role of innovations in enabling inclusive financial services. And these are our panelists. We have Paul Zake, is the Managing Director of AgriShare. Please come and take your seat. The next, we have Mattia Sebiranda. He's a Marketing Head at FutureLink Technologies. Next, we have Stephen Kakoza. He's the founder of Kawu Financial Services. Next, we have Kenneth Obur. He's a portfolio manager at Axiom Zone. Next, we have Crispinus Onyacha, and he's the co-founder of ClinicPesa. And this panel is going to be moderated by Flavia Eleanor Kasenge. She's a FinTech dinosaur, and she's a Chief Operations Officer at Easy Money. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll hand it over to you, Flavia.
Good morning to our panelists and ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all. As I've been introduced, my name is Flavia Eleanor Kasenge. I'm the CEO at Easy Money, but also I'm very passionate about FinTech. This morning, we are talking about innovation. And let me start by saying, I know you've all seen the evolution of FinTech. Over the past 20 years, technology innovation has driven the extraordinary explosion of progress. In about 2005, most of the industries that were leading the sector were mainly maybe banking, we had energy, we had consumer and goods, and some of those companies are Walmart. We saw the likes of Walmart, General Motors, Ford, General Electronics, and later on in 2015, we also saw the FinTech starting to crawl in slowly but surely. We saw Apple getting in, Google, and all of these are using innovation. And now, in 2024, 90% of the companies that are driving this market are FinTechs. I guess you all agree with me. So ladies and gentlemen, today, if you get back home, gone are the days when you used to have to wait for a postman. You look out of the window. Some of us were in boarding school. We used to look out of the window just to see when is the postman delivering my letter with pocket money from my parents. Gone are the days when we used to queue up, like in a banking hall, at the comfort of our home or here where you're seated, you're able to transact. You're able to send mobile money to anyone. And really, it's mind-blowing. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you our panelists this morning, the experts that are going to help us tackle this topic and help us understand it better from where we have come from to where we are today. So the experts seated here today, I would like you gentlemen to introduce yourselves in 2 minutes. And please tell us a brief profile about your company and yourselves. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kenneth Oburu. I work with Axiom Zone as the portfolio manager, and I'm happy to be part of this panel. Axiom Zone is a data service provider that is looking at information at the community level to collateralize that into what other financial service providers can use to extend credit to mainly farmers and small businesses. But we don't stop there. We also leverage the information we collect to better the areas of their work, basically. Thank you.
Over to you, Kawu.
My name is Kakoza. I build awesome things at Kawu. So what we basically do at Kawu is we are building financial tools for youth with a unique focus on those in school. When you look at it, majority of us spend an average of 15 years in school. And for those 15 years, there is absolutely zero access to digital financial services. So this means that after 15 years, your child and mine will have zero financial history, zero financial knowledge, but most importantly, zero savings on their name. So what we decided to do is to build a way for these people in school to easily, affordably access digital financial services. So to put it simply, what we do is we give credit and debit cards to young people, especially those in school, to be specific, those in secondary and universities, and they use these cards to save, make payments, and also make money transfers. So you can look at us as a mobile money and a banking service that basically does not need the other party or the receiver to have a mobile device or a bank account.
Thank you.
Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Onyanja Crispinus, the CEO at ClinicPesa. So at ClinicPesa, we, of course, we're out to solve one major issue, which is access to healthcare financing. Many people today don't have a form of insurance, a form of actually clearing their bills when it comes to medical bills. ClinicPesa looked at a gap that needed to be closed and provide members with a way of actually planning early in time so that can actually finance their healthcare bills in the form of, we do it in a simple way, in a form of savings, loans, and payments. Yeah, of course, with more innovation included. Thank you.
My name is Paul Zake. Zake means fire, but today there will not be fire. I am co-founder and as well managing director, AgriShare Uganda Limited. At AgriShare, we operate a digital platform called AgriShare app, and we enable farmers to hire or rent tractors, irrigation pumps, maize shellers, farmland. You can rent land for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. You can hire irrigation pump for 1 day. But you also as well allow people who have idle resources, like if you have land, maybe in Kabera Maido, you are not using it, to list it on the AgriShare, and then other people can use it. The whole aspect of it is the fact that in Uganda, of course, many people are doing farming, except here in the room, many people may not be doing farming. But outside there, over 60% do farming. But many of these still they is low due to lack of equipment and resources. Just 1% of people are irrigating the crops. Less than 1% of the land even use equipment like tractors. This is how we come in to ensure that these farmers can access these resources and equipment digitally, and they can pay even digitally as we shall shown. Thank you.
A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mattia Sevidanda. I head the marketing department at FutureLink Technologies. So FutureLink is a community-driven marketplace for affordable financial services. We offer a two-sided platform. So on one side of the platform, we enable circles and microfinance institutions that desire to grow profitably to be able to, one, acquire, serve, and retain customers, but also be able to mobilize community savings, be able to, again, reduce operational costs to over 90%. So unlike the other technology companies that only give you technology, we are able to also help through now our AI and data analytics to help circles and MFIs to drive strategies that can drive growth in their institutions. Then on the other side of the platform, we enable the consumer now to access and choose the most relevant and affordable financial services. So unlike legacy banking, our collaboration with financial cooperatives enables the consumer to access services designed just for them.
Awesome. And all this is through innovation. So our topic this morning, as we mentioned earlier, the role of innovation in enabling inclusive financial services. So let's get into that conversation. Without mentioning your company, think about any top 5 fintech companies in Uganda that you feel have really, done the innovation work right.
Okay, aside our company, I think one of the innovations that have stood out lately in the country is one of our partners, New Grid, that launched the first ever Circle Score and Mobile Score. So for the very first time, members of circles are able to build credit profiles that can be shared, but also these can be relied upon by the circles to be able to lend to members without collateral security. So it shows how a member has been behaving financially over a period of time, and then they are rated based on that. So based on their scores, I can choose to say, okay, Matia can get a loan of 1 million, which is unsecured. So this includes a number of people that were actually previously excluded because they don't have collateral or they don't qualify for loans because of having no profile at all. But on the other hand, also the mobile score that is being utilized by the telecoms to also leverage the data available by the MNOs to be able to allow people to now access more finances in terms of loans and any other financial services using the mobile credit score that was developed by our partner New Grid. Allow me also just to mention, just beyond our country, because fintech and innovation is not just in Uganda. Lately, I saw an innovation by M-Pesa, which is M-Pesa Tarifa. So what it does is, for the very first time on a mobile phone, a member is able to automate their transactions. So you can automate recurring bills like utility bills, school fees. You can automate even rent, monthly allowances. And these innovations are really intriguing because for the very first month of this innovation, it was able to move over 366 million Kenyan shillings. And this shows that a number of people are being excluded because think of an elderly person who feels I cannot regularly use my phone because of age. So they are able to automate their transactions, and throughout the month they are able to meet their financial obligations. And also think about other people who are incapacitated in one way or the other to effectively and frequently use their mobile devices. This solution is able to bring them closer and include them in the financial services.
Thank you. The next gentleman.
Thanks so much, Flavia. So on the fintech side, we have, of course, the top ones who are the dominant ones. Of course, there is Airtel, Romane, MTN, MoMo, who are dominating, or even FlexPay or Center Mobile. Of course, based on their infrastructure, I think they have done some great work when it comes to providing the structure for payment. But then what we are seeing is the other services. When it comes to insurance, credit service provision, when it comes to providing loans, when it comes to providing things on credit, there are many other startups who are doing great work in addition to the other top ones. Thank you.
I would say, of course, innovation starts with small things, They are the enablers that the telecoms like MTN. But then when you look at the space of capital markets authority, there are also innovations in there, like Zeno. I've seen Sanlam has done a good job. They've come now digital, And then when you look at the side of insurance, we are seeing that insurance companies are also coming digital, typically innovating to reach the customers from a sense of where back then you had to do paperwork, and then you had to place in claims as a healthcare center. And then also when we look at the aspect of accessibility, we're seeing kind of innovations to like partnerships coming in place to innovate and create extension. We didn't see back then card systems actually coming into the fintech space. So we are seeing innovations happening in the card systems where we are seeing players like InterSwitch innovating and coming into the fintech space, enabling like fintechs to typically look at the dimension of banking as well, you know, or the element of accessibility and usability of the services that they're actually providing. Because originally it's been either you have a mobile phone, or you have a SIM card, you know, to be able to extend the service. But now we are seeing that we are typically moving away from that, the same way from, we are creating an extension whereby we will see cards coming in, and then other forms of payments, what they call swipe to pay or tap to pay, you know. We'll see people innovating by creating handset kind of tap to pay devices, you know. And that's typically for me innovation when I look at it from S end. Thank you.
Yes, Stephen.
Thank you, Flavia. I think for me, for the past 5 years, really, I can't pinpoint to a company that has innovated that much, that has innovated something that actually inspired me that much, for sure.
Oh my
But there are certain concepts that are amazing. Like, I'm trying to be truthful to you people. I can't look back 5 years and I say, okay, these guys have built this groundbreaking technology. Zero. But there are great concepts like peer-to-peer lending. I don't know a player in Uganda that's doing peer-to-peer lending, and I strongly believe that this would make access to credit faster and affordable. We're not doing it. If you know anybody, you can hook me up to them. So I genuinely might not have the best answer for you because I have
not
zero.
yet there. You're not yet, you know, no one is speaking to your heart yet.
Exactly. I don't feel like we are innovating enough. I don't feel like we are pushing the limits.
So we have a lot of work to do to make Stephen feel like, you know, Uganda is getting there in this innovation space. Yes, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Flavia. I think I share the same sentiments with my colleague over here, but obviously there are some that have done amazing work. You may not know, they may not be very common around the urban places, but they are tech service providers. I would mention of Akelo Banker. I think they've done some amazing work because they are into these communities and ensuring that they understand the needs of these people at the local level. I would also mention, obviously, we have the ones whom we ride on to see how they've perfected their applications, like MoMo Pay, like Airtel Money. Then I think for the service providers that have, I could speak looking back at what Axiom Zone has done. Mm-hmm. I would look at. He mentioned the one that uses data to collateralize farmers and help them extend services. Mm-hmm. I think they've also done amazing work, basically. Okay. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I actually thought you were going to mention easy money at one point so that can, you know, be proud. But anyway, we are getting there. So my first question would go to you. So, Kenneth, how do you address the issues? Okay, in the financial inclusion space, we have many issues. So how would you address some of the issues that we are facing in Uganda today in the inclusion space?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. And I think this is a question that most tech service providers first have to appreciate before they go into the development and putting together the technology that they want to put forth. From our perspective, I believe that there are three key elements that cause exclusion of people from the financial industry. That being structural issues. Then we have, of course, accessibility, and then affordability. So to look at how such can be addressed, I would think, for example, in terms of affordability, what brings about the cost of capital going that high is the rudimentary way that they have to extend the service to the farmer. Take an example, if you have to go deep down to a village in, let's say, Bukwo, you are a bank or a financial service provider that is based in Mbale. You'd need almost, you'd have to cover over 64 kilometers to get to the client. But if we have these digital solutions at hand, that means that you would cut down on the expenses that you would incur to extend that service, for example. So basically that reduces the affordability. If, for example, you have a data service provider enriching you with the information that you would require to evaluate that person's viability or feasibility to work with them. So in the technology space, I think we are working so hard to ensure that there is affordability at the end of the extension of the service. Then to do with access, I think you will agree with me that the rural setting, for example, has about 76% of the population of Uganda. And most of these people are obviously excluded from the services because they are unbanked. So when we have, like for example, for Axiom Zone, we developed the digital empowerment card. It's a card that carries information of a potential client to a financial service provider, where if they need a service, let's say like credit to enhance their productivity, it's a matter of them carrying that card, they swipe, and every information that is at their community or that is at their area of production can be retrieved and they can be evaluated to extend that service to them without the need of having to take a personal banker or a credit officer down there and evaluate the entire process. So I think that talks to the accessibility. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And definitely, of course, the mindsets of people. I think you need to agree that we have a lot of work to do to be able to get everyone included in this. Okay, please go ahead.
One thing as actors in the digital space, we are seeing is that we are going into the virgin areas when it comes to digital populations. For us who have been working with the farmers in the rural areas, many people are even not aware or even trust the ability that if you deposit money on mobile money, it will reach where you are sending it. Yeah, sometimes they want to physically see the receipt. They want to physically give the money out to somebody. And it's not a challenge of just for Uganda. We already know that about 1.5 billion people worldwide, they don't use any mobile money payment. They don't use any bank. In Africa, it's over 70%. In Uganda, of course, we are doing relatively better due to maybe telecom companies and mobile money. It's almost 30 to 40% we are not using. But the challenge is still there when it comes to rural areas. Majority of people don't trust the digital payments. So yeah, there's that challenge of the need for awareness.
Okay, thank you very much. And over to you, Mattia. I think before we dig very deep into this conversation, what would you say inclusive financial services are? Maybe to help our audience understand it better.
Thank you, Flavia. So for me, inclusive financial services are these financial products and services that, first of all, give a chance for a choice. One should be able to choose. They should be affordable. They should be relevant. And they should be factoring in an inclusion of all people. That means low-income earners, women, and smallholder farmers, everyone inclusive, and their needs are able to be taken care of in this space. So the idea is to really have everyone have an equal opportunity to play in the financial ecosystem. They're able to save, they can insure themselves, they can borrow, and this is really what is able to bring about economic stability. So a typical example is, for example, I want to give an example of M-Circle. M-Circle enables the consumer to access and choose the most relevant and affordable financial services. So for the very first time now, a member of somebody who wants to join the circle can be in Karamoja, and just using their mobile phone, they are able to choose a circle or an MFI that speaks to them, look at their profile, look at the kind of services they're going to offer to them. And if they are affordable and they're relevant to them, they're able to join this institution from wherever they are remotely without having a physical interface. So this, in a way, is able to allow access to capital. It is able to allow people to grow their saving culture. It is able to allow people to, we had a case in Western Uganda where, there was quite some kind of home violence, domestic violence, where a man did not want to see his wife in a banking hall. In a moment that the woman goes to the banking hall, the man thinks this woman has a lot of money, and the time she returns home, there is violence. So with M-Circle, this woman now is able to, just on their phone, now be able to access the financial services without having to interact with humans, and without also exposing herself, but also taking away the risk of, carrying cash for long distances, going to the banking hall, and any other associated risks. So I believe that financial inclusion should be able to cover all those areas and take away all those risks.
Thank you. It's really so sad, but it still happens even in the rural areas where you see men still wanting to control women. Like you've mentioned, entering into a banking hall can become a disaster for the wife. So we really need to do a lot, again, to change people's mindsets. I think that is where we need to start from. How are we able to penetrate into people's mindsets to be able to, get them to where we are, where we think we are going, and to be able to see what we see in the future. Over to you, Stephen and Chris. From where you sit, how do we move from mere fintech innovation to the last mile financial inclusion?
I want to put it as humble as I possibly can, but I think building for the last mile people is hard. It's very hard for you to build for somebody who lives on $1 a day.
Yeah.
You cannot get more than $1. Because that's all they have. And we've experienced this firsthand, building for students. They have a cap, they have a maximum amount of money they can spend in a day. So you cannot get more than what they can spend. And every business is built first to make money and then impact. So you have to be very deliberate on how you deliver your product to these people such that it's very cheap to you, the provider, in such a way that you can then give back some of those benefits that you have saved back to the consumer. So when you set out to build or innovate something for the excluded. This is something like I've already shared, that when you start building for the unserved and the underserved, you realize why they were unserved or underserved in the first place. That is right after you start serving them. So you have to be very, very deliberate. And I think the best way to do it is to start with the people who have the money, get that money first, and then you can give it back or remit it back to the underserved. Because you're going to try to serve them, like you might try as much as you can, but the first goal is survival. If you have 100,000 and that's the only money you have to survive, to serve these people, you're going to burn through it, and then at the end of the day, you'll have to shut down, and then you won't be able to serve even the people you want to serve. But if you can get the people who have the money, the people who are seated in this room, unfortunately, they already have access to most of these things, but if you can get to them, get some of the dollars they have, then you can use these dollars to serve the underserved or the unserved. That's the way I look at it. I might be wrong, but that's the brutal truth. It's ridiculously hard for you to just build a product for somebody who cannot buy it in the first place. You have to, first of all, get a way for you to sustainably deliver this product to them. And then two, and what I think is very useful, is to understand that it's not about enabling them to spend or give you money, but it's you to figure out a way to enable them earn. Let me give you an example. We are building a product that the flagship product is payment. That is canteen payments, that is a parent transferring money to their child in school. But we saw that it is not sustainable. A student spends an average of what, 3,000 a day? And you cannot, from that 3,000, pick 500. It doesn't make sense, you know? So instead of just focusing on a way of getting 2,000 out of 3,000, we are figuring out a way to help the student use the remaining 2,000 to actually make an extra 1,000. So to me, that's sort of, you know, more important for us to figure out a way to help the underserved or unserved earn from the little they have before we can actually get from them. And you can only do that if you have the horses. So if you don't have the horses, you really can't go that far.
Thank you, Stephen. I think you've spoken from a point of experience. You've been in the field and you're speaking from your points as well. Like, you're not trying to sell to someone who, one, the mindset is one of it, but also the fact that they are not able to afford the product. Maybe we should be able to think about what we are innovating. Are we innovating for the right people? Yes, over to you, Chris.
Okay, thank you so much. I will speak about the building for the last mile. It's quite okay. It's a wide conversation when you talk about building for the last mile, but I'll tag it back to the theme today, which is typically innovation. So when we're talking about building for the last mile, we're talking about more services that would be built would actually be targeting major towns, you know, Central Region, Kampala. But then I would look at building for the last mile as someone accessing medicine. So the person in Central Region and the person in the Northern Region all need the same service. Of course, the mindset is that, of course, we are cognizant of the purchasing power. The purchasing power in upcountry would not be the same purchasing power in the Central Region. But with that in mind, as we're saying, building for the last mile, because last mile means going beyond the regions that have a high purchasing power. You want the person in Karamoja to also be able to use your service, you know? So to me, it's a game of numbers. That's the first thing. The game of numbers is that you build a product that is very affordable. A product that is very affordable. Today, the person in Karamoja would still send money on mobile money because it's affordable. Because it's when it was designed, it was not designed for the person in the Central Region because of their purchasing power. So I'll look at it from a perspective of, look at the game of numbers, because someone has to pay for someone, or someone has to subsidize for someone. It's the same system or the same technology that is accessed in Central Region that is accessed the other side. So the cost that comes up with you serving the members in the low purchasing power area is actually being absorbed by the high purchasing power areas, you know. So, but of course, pushing it back to numbers, if you're building for, let's say you're building for 100,000 customers, then it means that it will be very hard for you to be able to move up country, you know. You first need to grow from the high purchasing areas, so that, because you need to finance the bills, you need to pay for these servers, you need to pay the staff, you need to pay, you know, you need to pay all the costs that come with building for the last mile. But of course, also when you look at the market, there's what we call market facilitation. You know, there are institutions that their work is to empower those communities to actually create a sense of business activity. So starting with government, of course, government does a good job in the sense of empowering. By the time they're actually pushing money to the communities, in the small communities, to be able to create like business activities, those business activities, they will need the same services that you're accessing in Central Region. So when we're innovating, we think about the cost, because as you think about the cost, the same cost is going to be paid by the person in upcountry. Then we are thinking about the accessibility, the channels. What channels are you pushing out? Collaborations. Of course, collaborations brings down the cost. Instead of going to build an agent network in upcountry, you could potentially use an agent network that has already been established. And that is how you're able to reach in the hard areas, like areas where you need to invest more, you invest less, so that you're able to extend the service up country for customers who live in up country to be able to access this. It's the same thing as medicine. The person in Kampala will take the medicine, and the person in up country will take the medicine. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chris. But all in all, I think we need to look at how to customize what we are innovating as well.
Yes.
From what you're saying. To you, Mattia and Paul, in less than 2 minutes, from what Stephen and Chris have said, what factors, unique factors, should we put in place to be successful while innovating?
First of all, I think we need the first factor is also simplicity. Making money is hard. Just imagine if a farmer goes growing crops for 3 months, then at harvest time gets 100,000, then you make it complex for this farmer to either send it to school, either to deposit it somewhere, either to pay for an insurance. So there's the need of that simplicity. The second factor, it can come on the security, which is also built on the trust. I think the whole success, and this is very critical, is that many times as startups, we are reluctant to establish the systems, the processes, the technology, the teams which can ensure the security of the money of the people. We've had scenarios, even amongst big FinTech actors, where security is still one of the top risks. So one of the key factors is ensuring the security. Then another one is on the service excellence. One thing I'm realizing amongst my customers, we have very many customers spread across the country, is the fact that it's changing from the way we started. Nowadays, our customers tend to communicate to each other. You find one farmer talking with another farmer. Even if the service is good, they'll talk to another farmer. They will not come back to talk to you. Service is bad, they'll talk to another farmer. They'll not come back to talk to you. So ensuring service excellence is very critical. Of course, that one is also critical because when a farmer talks to another farmer or your customer talks to another customer, it means it will be like indirect marketing, referral, and that is the easiest way of getting customer and build your FinTech and scale it up. I think those are the three: simplicity, security, and service excellence.
Okay. As you mentioned that you talked about trust, maybe what we need to ponder about as we live here, how do we gain trust or earn the trust for the people that we are talking about? Yes, over to you, Mattia.
Thank you, Flavia. I think on my side, I would look at, first of all, do not go in all alone. Yeah, so you need strategic partnerships. So for example, what has helped us at FutureLink is having this robust platform. We do not do it alone. We have a number of partners that understand our strategy, that understand the customer that we are serving, that understand our mission and purpose, and they are committed to delivering to this mission and purpose. So, for example, our platform is integrated with NIRA. It has integration with MTN, Airtel for the M-Circle part of it. It has integration with CRBs. So we are able to offer an all-round solution to the customer in just one platform, which enables them to access everything in just one centralized and secure platform. So when you have strategic partnerships, you're sure that you're able to actually go a long way in achieving success as an innovator. And then the other thing we look at is also the regulatory framework. So for you to be able to, there is a risk of, when we're growing as startups, there is a risk of neglecting regulation and compliancy, and you feel, I can do away with this anyway. So the first thing you look at is, how do I actually keep coping with regulation and compliancy as I grow as a startup? Because you saw, I think in July, when Bank of Uganda sent out a notification to those that are in payments and they are not licensed, and services were going to be terminated. So imagine that you're being served by somebody who has no license, and then a period comes and they are terminated, you lose the service, and along the way, maybe you acquire the license and you come back and explain, you see, we didn't have a license, now we have come back. So you lose the trust, like Paul has been saying. So it is important for us to keep in check, and also be able to understand that in future, policies keep, changing day and night. And of course, we remember 2021, Bank of Uganda launched the regulatory sandbox, which is able now to help, fintechs to be able to innovate and iterate once in a while, and also be able to secure the customer. So we have to be mindful of this, and as we pivot forward innovations. Thank you.
Thank you. It's very important for us to collaborate. Gone are the days when we used to look at ourselves as competition. We need to find out what the next door neighbor has, and we can tap into that to make innovation very awesome and beautiful to the people who are out there. And then to you, Kenneth, yes, you can submit also, but the question, what advice do you have to the young innovators, the people out there innovating in the market? What advice do you have for them? But you can go ahead and substitute.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it also aligns well with what I wanted to just make as a submission to what they've already shared, is that the young innovators, usually when they're starting off, they look at themselves and may disregard what already other players in the ecosystem have done. And when you speak about collaboration and trying to look at success as something that you can achieve by ensuring that you have some sort of partnerships with already people who are existing in the ecosystem, it becomes very easy for you to, first of all, I would give an example of the wealthiest man on the planet currently, Elon Musk, who had an open access to his EV patent. So BMW came in. It allowed him to create acceptability, for example, to validate the technology. So if you're going to work with the communities, for example, I am a service provider using data. I offer data service. You don't need to have to go out to the communities to create another network of agents. If you can piggyback on my network of agents, if AgriShare can piggyback on my network of agents, we can achieve together. So I think as innovators, you're not going to bring something new out of the blue. There are already some people who are existing in the industry who can help you build from what you basically fill the gap on what is missing, basically. Yep.
Thank you, Kenneth. Can you imagine 20 years from now, you'll be talking about Flavia Kasenge Eleanor as the richest lady in the world? Thank you very much to our panelists. We really appreciate your knowledge and expertise that you've brought up today. Thank you to the beautiful audience. And yes, this is the end of our session. Thank you very much. As we innovate, we have to innovate for everyone, not just for the upper people, but we also have to look at the underserved people. Maybe we need to study them more and get to understand what services they can take. That will help us penetrate into their market quickly, because we also need them. As we get onto this wagon of innovation and we are moving very fast, we have to think about the underserved people. Okay, then thank you very much to Mattia, thank you Stephen, thank you Paul, thank you Kenneth, and to you Chris, thank you very much for your expertise. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. I would like to invite the head wealth retail banking at Standard Chartered Bank Uganda to deliver a speech on the role of digital banking in fostering economic development, particularly in Uganda as a case study. Mr. Paul Sefa Badu you're most welcome to speak to us.
Chris, thank you very much. And let me also thank Flavia and the team. That was a good work. Thank you very much. As Chris said, my name is Paul Sifabadu. I think before I share a few thoughts with us, I want to especially acknowledge what I call key stakeholders when it comes to the issue of digital and financial inclusion. I don't know whether we have the regulators here, but I want to sincerely acknowledge the work, the beautiful story that is being written by Uganda with these key stakeholders, the regulators, Bank of Uganda, UCC, and all the FinTechs. It's just amazing the work that is being done, and also the banks and the telecos. I think this ecosystem is writing a story. Possibly you are not aware. I will be sharing a few thoughts with you, maybe what is happening in Ghana, comparing to what is happening in Uganda, and then you get understanding why we need to celebrate the work that is being done in Uganda. So my presentation, the role of digital banking in fostering economic development in Uganda, using Uganda as a case study, and possibly I will spend some time to highlight some of the work that we are doing at Standard Chartered Bank, just to buttress the work that is going on in Uganda. So when we talk about digital banking, basically, I believe that we all know is where we are using electronic systems to be able to provide banking services and activities. And for the main platforms, so we normally talk about the website, we talk about mobile apps, and then we talk about USSD. I brought in agent banking because I believe that when it comes to the distribution, what Uganda is doing is something that is worth emulation from other African countries. I think we've been able to get it very, very well when it comes to agent banking, where we have a single switch that connects all the players. I know Ghana, that is not the case. We have the individual banks, pursuing what we call digital banking. So I think that is a great work that is being done by Uganda, using ABC as a main aggregator. So that just to highlight this. So here, this is from where we sit. These are some of the trends that we continue to see. So in terms of when we talk about the digital product that we see here, that continue to grow. So yes, mobile wallet is really big thing, and I salute what Uganda has done. Possibly just to give you, in 2021, I was just looking at Uganda and Ghana in terms of mobile money subscription. Was Uganda 55% of the population, have access to mobile banking or mobile money. In Ghana, that is about 45% of the whole population. When we look at, in terms of the volume, the value of transactions that happened in 2021, you will not believe the total value for Ghana was $2.1 billion. But at the same time, Uganda was $20.5 billion in terms of the volume. And that is why I think it's something that we need to celebrate. And it tells the work that Uganda is doing. And that is why initially I wanted to acknowledge all the ecosystem players. It's a great job. 2.1 to 20.5 is quite huge. So yes, we've also seen a rise when it comes to digital savings, wealth solutions. People using digital being able to access wealth solutions. So for instance, if you take Standard Chartered Bank, we've introduced last year an investment solution we call Shilingi, where everything is done 100% on your digital platform. We've seen that coming up. Also loan product, we've seen micro loan product also coming up, where you don't need to complete any documentation, just paper. Everything is digital. So there's a lot that is happening. That is the trend we continue to see. I've spoken about the mobile money services, and I've giving you an idea, the work that is happening is a great story that we need to be proud of in Uganda. We've also seen increased use of USSD and smartphone application for banking. And then, like I said, the major players, we have the banks, we have the regulators, we have the mobile money providers and fintechs doing a great job. I was really impressed listening to the panel and the thinking and the work that is going on. I think is something that is worth supporting. So this is just numbers I just wanted to show. Basically, I know whilst we are driving a lot of digital, you could see that our number of branches continue to be there because we still believe that because of the population that we are serving, bricks and mortar continue to be key. So in terms of agent banking, for me, that is one story that I'm taking anywhere, anytime I live, the kind of work that Uganda has done. We continue to have a high number of ATM, and in terms of about 1.3 worth of credit happening on the mobile, digital. So it shows that, look, we are making progress, and there's a lot that is happening. So in terms of the benefit, obviously, financial inclusion, I know we don't need to, I don't need to over elaborate that. There's a lot that is happening that today, irrespective of where you are, you can still access banking services. Privacy is a good thing. I've spoken about savings, paperless banking. I remember Standard Chartered Bank, some years ago, to open an account, we had to spend about 17 cents of a dollar to open an account. With our digital strategy, that amount has actually moved from 17 cents to about 7 cents. Today people wonder why, how are you making money? You're opening accounts for clients, you're not charging, no monthly charges, nothing. How do you make money? It's because once technology comes in, it makes our work more efficient. And therefore the ultimate beneficiary should be the client. So with that, so that's what we tell people. So yes, accessibility, convenience. We don't need to ever elaborate that. Being able to access your account anywhere you are, in the comfort of your home. We're talking about cross-border, global usage and cross-border transactions. I sit here, I have access to my account everywhere. Security and prevention, which is quite key, because I know one of our panelists made mention, is quite critical. As we continue to innovate, we need to also build into the platform the ability to proactively prevent risks. So we have OTP and others just to help us to be sure that our systems are quite robust. Account management and tracking. So it's pitiful to know that I can have view of all my accounts, whether you have account in Singapore, you have account in UK, you have account in Uganda. Just logging into your app, you have a view of all your account at a go. And that because of these are some of the benefits when it comes to what we are talking about today. Here, just to focus a little about Standard Chartered Bank. Obviously, we've been here over 112 years. At a point in time, Standard Chartered Bank was a central bank for the country. At a point in time, we had about 11 branches in the country. Today, we have 3 branches. And once again, people ask, how are you doing business here? How are you managing with 3 branches? But the beauty is that, yes, our client base continue to grow, and yet we're able to serve our client base, because the truth is, you don't need to be in a physical building to do your banking. Banking, everything can be with you on your app. In every moment, in the midnight, if you want to do banking, you should be able to do it. So that is what we have taken a strategic decision to do a lot of investment when it comes to the digital, the platforms. So what we've done is that with that, then even with 3 branches, we can still serve for customers. Irrespective of where customers are, customers can still do banking with us. So in terms of being, Standard Chartered has been first in so many instances, in terms of being first bank in Uganda to introduce even ATM, fully digital banking. Standard Chartered once again being the first bank to do that. And you'll be surprised to know that we have about 80 services that can happen on the app. And that is the power that we are talking about, when it comes to digitization and financial inclusion. I've spoken about SC Shilingi, where today, as low as 20,000 Uganda shilling, you can start your investment. And you don't need to walk to a bank. Right from onboarding to, your servicing, how you want to use your account, everything can be done on your app. And that is what some of the things that we are bringing, even though we talk about international banking, because we also believe that even as we grow, our demands and our needs continue to change. And therefore, today, if I have an account, tomorrow my needs might change. Possibly I want to have possibly an account somewhere outside because I have children, I'm thinking about their school. So Standard Chartered Bank has also international banking that is connecting the people of Uganda to us how it works. So they can be here and you can still access US Treasury, bonds through Standard Chartered Bank. So these are some of the things that we are doing. But the last bit in terms of what we call the digital bank, our strategy is to be a digital bank and we want to lead that. So today, all accounts that we open, acquisition account that we acquire, 98% of that is through digital. All the accounts that we onboard today, 98% of all of them are done through our digital platform. And 96% of our clients are digitally enabled. It means that if you take every 10 customers from Standard, 9 of them are using our digital platforms, one way or the other. And then we have 99.5% being digitally active. So it's not that customers have just signed onto an app and they are not using. Almost 100% of our clients are using our app. And that tells you in terms of the work that has been done in Uganda with all the ecosystem I mentioned. And then once again, just to talk about why we have 3 branches and we are so serving customers and we are still making business. Because today, about 95% of all transactions that happen in a day, all of them are happening outside the branches. 95% of our daily transactions don't happen in our branches. They happen outside our branches, either through mobile money, either through agent banking, or through ATM online. 95% of it. And I've mentioned already 80% of about 80 transactions are all happening on our digital. These are things that previously customers have to go to the banking hall to be able to transact. But that is the story that we have here in Uganda. So in terms of the role of digital banking, when it comes to economic development, I think these are quite, looking at it from SME, facilitating SME. Today we have platform that for companies where you might not, even when it comes to processing your client salaries, you don't need to do anything. All that you need to do to upload into a system, approve, and all your customers, your staff receive their salary. And that is some of the things we are doing, facilitating when it comes to SME. Lower transaction costs, like I said today, we open account, there is no COT, there are no charges, and people are wondering how you're making money. Because once you bring in the digital, then you make your processes quite effective. Job creation. You come to Standard Chartered today, Standard Chartered Bank today, we have a whole digital team, a whole department that is all about digital in terms of how we can make life more easier and more convenient for customers, but so doing, creating more jobs for people. Obviously, we talk about government, payment, a lot of them. Mobile banking, rural areas, unbanked population. I think Standard Chartered Bank continue to be part of the great story that is happening. Financial inclusion, we've spoken about that already. In the interest of time, I just wanted to highlight some of these challenges that I think we all need to be aware of, within this ecosystem. That whilst we continue to drive the financial inclusion digital, it's important you see that, especially cybersecurity continue to be a key threat, and I believe that we all are aware of that. And is even as we develop, we need to ensure that we factor that, critically into the whole framework because it continues to be a threat. And if you look at what is happening globally, is one area we need to be quite careful. Cash dependency in rural areas. I know one of my brothers said that, people still believe in the physical cash. So I think we need a lot of financial literacy. That is, and then regulatory landscape. Because all that is happening. I know there's a lot that is being done in the country, but we will need a regulator to continue to work to support the whole ecosystem, the fintechs, to be able to innovate and to be able to also be guided by a certain framework. So that is quite key. We know that technology continues to change almost every day, and therefore we need the regulator also to be at that level so that we can continue to advance in terms of the impact that we can make in this economy. I also want to say that when it comes to, smartphone penetration and affordability, it's still a challenge. There's still a long way to go. And I think that is one key challenge. Data security and then digital literacy. Cost of data. I think cost of data is one area that continue to hinder in terms of bringing more people into the ecosystem. So these are some of the challenges that we've observed. Maybe my last slide is some of the opportunities that we have. I know the regulator using National Payment System Act continue to encourage the fintechs, and I think that there is more to be done there in terms of partnership. Bank partnering with fintechs. I think there's a huge opportunity. When you go to some of the countries, you have innovation hub where we have the bank, the fintechs, coming together to be able to drive some of the thing that our brothers and our Flavia was talking about. So I see that is also a great opportunity for us that we need to do more in terms of partnership. Obviously, facilitating government payment. So these are key areas that we think that there is more that can be done. So as I bring my thought to an end, once again, I want to appreciate all of the stakeholders and the work that we are doing. Is a great story that we are writing, and I believe that there's a lot that other African countries can learn from what is happening in Uganda. So on this note, I want to say thank you for listening, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Right about now, I would like to invite Margaret Awuma. Margaret Awuma is the chairperson of the Elegu Women Cross-Border Traders Cooperative Society, and she has traveled all the way from Elegu to come and be with us. You're most welcome. We shall be speaking the plight of women informal cross-border traders. Who are they? What do they do? And what are their challenges? And please take a seat. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
You're most welcome to the Summit, Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit 2024.
Thank you very much.
You are coming all the way from Elegu. Elegu is on the border between Uganda and South Sudan. That's a whole story to tell. But the story that we are interested in most is one that factors into the discussion that we are having today. The plight of women informal cross-border traders. Who are they? What do they do? And what are their challenges? First things first. There's a lot that comes into mind when somebody talks about informal women cross-border traders. Who are they, and what is your story in this picture of women informal cross-border traders?
Thank you very much, Chris, once again. And good morning, everyone. He's told you my names already. I come from Elegu border, which is situated in Amuru district, northern Uganda, bordering South Sudan. I'm the chairperson for the women group who are engaged in informal cross-border trade. When you talk about an informal trader, this is a person who is engaged in unofficial, small-scale, cross-border trade.
Official, small-scale, cross-border trade.
Yes.
When I look at the porous nature of the border points that make up Uganda and other countries' landscape, territorial landscape, I begin to look at least 20 border points across the country, Legu being one of them.
Yeah.
So what type of businesses do the women engage in or mainly deal in, and what is their capital base?
Thank you very much once again. These women are engaged in trade in agricultural products mainly. That is cereals, the grains, fresh products. We also trade in livestock, birds, as well as textiles and rugs.
And rugs?
Yeah,
What-
human, both like human and animal drugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I may go a little bit into detail or seek for detail, what is the average size of the enterprise, so to speak, for every lady that is engaged? Is it substantial?
As I said, these are small scale, so it is a small business.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that means it's very limited. How do you manage transactions and payments? Could you give us a brief history? If there are those who have onboarded technology, what was happening before they got comfortable using technology?
I see two, that is the informal and the formal way of transactions that we engaged in. The formal one is those who have got some knowledge on the digital way of transaction, use mobile phones, use these bank agents, then the personal transactions, bank transactions. And then the informal ones are these normal cashing. You go give your money to somebody selling the products.
Move the mic closer.
Yeah. Yes. So
All right,
that's what
so
I can say.
how open, when the last panelists were speaking, there emerged aspects including comfort in the use and adoption of technologies, especially when it comes to transactions and payments. How open are these ladies in onboarding mobile financial services like mobile money and banking transactions?
I see this as still a problem because of a number of factors. The first one is that a majority of these women are still illiterate about the digital financial services. And we also look at the age. The young ones also say now they are still not yet able to save money or transact in or carry out mobile money transactions. Then the elderly ones also say they are already aged, yeah, so they leave that to the young ones. Yeah. Then there's also the cost of transaction. Yeah, they also fear that the cost is also high. Yeah, then they also don't trust the system. Yeah, this is a digital transaction system. Yeah, so that's why they go in for the informal way of, yeah.
Okay.
So some of the.
Apart from that, what other challenges can you share with us when it comes to the general conduct of a business, both the physical, including making incursions into territory that is not Uganda? I do not know whether you face challenges in terms of authorities intercepting you as you do the business. When that happens, how do you resolve those challenges?
True, those challenges are still there that need to be addressed. One, we have the border harassment of these traders, and then we have also the banking facilities are not there, so it is a problem for these women to carry out banking transactions. Like for the case of Elegu, there's no any single bank there. So for one to carry out any banking transaction, he has to travel up to Gulu, which is almost 120 kilometers.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we also have the banking agents are also few. Yes. And then this majority of these women are also illiterate, that they need to be given the training on how to handle these border crossings.
Okay.
Yeah, to make their business trading easy.
How would you quantify the amount of losses suffered to business on account of a lack of knowledge on how to go about cross-border business for many of the women who say they could either be illiterate or not abreast with what they're supposed to do? For example, if they switch from Uganda authorities to DR Congo or South Sudan.
How would you quantify their, as I told you earlier, that these are small scale traders. They deal in a very small,
Very small, okay.
amount of products. Yeah.
Sometimes the amount, what is lost is difficult
to gain.
To gain, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So once it's taken, it's taken. So that's why it's really paramount that these women are given the training in handling the digital, financial transactions, so that they don't undergo the losses that they do go to. Yeah.
Okay. You're the chairperson.
Yes,
of,
I am.
Elegu
Women Cross-Border Traders
Cooperative Society.
Yes.
What does the cooperative society bring on board that enhances the business? Already you've said the challenge is that they are small, but working within a corporate society should have its advantages for either growth, sustainability, or simply to know that you can do better than you're doing at a very small scale.
Yes.
Could you talk to us about what the society is doing?
Okay. What we do, because we have in my group we have over 800 women. We have clustered these women. Each group has a TOT. Yeah. So we usually train them. Yeah. We train these women on. We let them. We give them the information. We let them know that doing informal cross-border trade is very risky, to their business. And then we also try to get financial help, like we do get from Centenary Bank, though they give us at a low rate, but we do get money from them that we also give them, to boost their financial, obligations. So those are the few that as a group we are trying to do.
All right, so going forward, especially after the summit has been conducted, so many sector players are within the audience right now, and they are looking out on how best to support the women of Elegu in doing better business. Sometimes there is a bit of complacency when you're doing small scale because it's comfortable, it's what you do every day. There is the fear to become bigger. Honestly, some people do fear to get bigger.
Yes.
When support comes in, what is the nature of the support? How do you want it, and what should the intervention mechanisms be in order to attend to the real challenges that you face?
Yes. First is we need the training, the digital financial training. Much as we are trying, we also need that. And then these smartphones should also be made available at an affordable cost.
Affordable cost,
because they have this perception that, smartphones are very expensive, or it's very expensive to have a phone. So they should come and change their mind, change their mindset to begin thinking digitally, to make our work easy.
All right.
Yes.
Within your interactions, this is a very last question. Where do you see government's hand? Of course, being small scale, informal, it means you're not registered.
Yes.
The taxman doesn't know you.
Yes.
But interestingly, he's on the lookout for you. So once in a while, you encounter the taxman, and there is a bit of a challenge. Has there been any engagement in order to ensure that, despite the fact that you are small scale, you could still register and work within a more comfortable and elaborate working environment? Has there been any effort?
Yes, through customs and immigration, and then also some NGOs have also been coming, offering the training to these women. Government also comes in, also gives the training. Yeah, though when we say we want to change now from the informal way of trading or carrying out the money transactions, we need to get in a few of those
you need players to come on
items
board.
that I said, okay, that the mobile phones should also be brought to them and made affordable to them.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a business opportunity for anybody that can deliver affordable smartphones to the people of Elegu. I would like to allow just 2 questions, especially with regard to the particular challenges that women in Elegu could be facing, that you either have a solution or an idea on how best this can be done. If you can be very prompt and precise on that question or submission. 2 are enough. Anybody?
All right, thank you, Chris. We have 2 questions already to Margaret. To the ladies and gentlemen in the audience, like Chris noted, Margaret traveled from Elegu about 500 kilometers from Kampala, knowing that Kaluma Bridge is closed. She had to pass in Maction Falls, enjoyed some tourism, but had to endure a very long journey. And she's expected back in Elegu tonight. So the first question, Margaret, we have here, you have noted that in Elegu, which is a buzzing town, I've been there, and Nimuli, there are no banks, bank branches. In this audience, you have over 7 banks. People are asking, what kind of banking support do you need? I see Stephen Chirenga from Center Group is typing. So please be very candid and tell the banks. I also see Helen Kirunji, my OGI from MTN. She also has a notebook. Be very candid and tell them what kind of support you need.
Thank you very much for that question. I think we need a fully fledged bank in Elegu, where this woman enters in, opens an account and starts saving her money, starts transacting her normal business with the bank.
All right. In relation to that, Margaret, when these banks come, you have a circle over 1,000 people. What message do you have to them in regards to giving you affordable and reliable credit services?
Okay, once they come, they should give us affordable loans because, as I said, we are getting from Centenary Bank, a Jumani branch, which is also very far, and they are not giving us to the tune that we want. The excuse they give us is that our account is not running well because that we are not depositing and withdrawing. Yeah, because the bank is very far. So what we do, we only carry out the deposit. Yeah. So we don't withdraw as they want.
In other words,
so they say the account is not.
You're not giving them the confidence that you're doing business.
That we are doing business because the bank is very far.
Okay.
Yes. So for us to go to the bank to withdraw money, the 3 of us has to go, which is very costly for us.
Okay.
Yeah, the treasurer, the chairperson, and the secretary.
Thank you, Nicholas, and thank you, the audience. I would like to invite Mr. Stephen Chirenga. He's the head of product and business development at Centenary Technology Services. Anna Namboze, country director, Uganda and South Sudan, Trademark Africa, please. And last but not least, Penny Esther Kamusime, manager customer experience, Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are discussing how to deliver digital financial services that meet the needs of women informal cross-border traders across Africa. Pretty much the discussion that we've just had with Madame Margaret Awuma was sufficient in showcasing and demonstrating the extent of the need for these interventions across board. And I believe as Nicholas was asking the questions and saw you typing in the group, you were typing these solutions. Thank you for making it, ladies and gentlemen. So this goes for every one of us, and I'll begin from my immediate left. You give us an idea of what your Uganda is, for example, and the rest will also do the same with regard to your companies, institutions, and organizations, if you like.
My name is Penny Esther Kamsime, the Manager Customer Experience at Uganda Limited. Uganda is a FinTech licensed and regulated by the Central Bank of Uganda as a national payments operator. And what Uganda does, we provide highly customized your mobile payments infrastructure to businesses and NGOs as a whole. And in addition to that, you also provide value-added services like software development.
My name is Steven Chirenga, and I serve at Centenary Technology Services, which is a technology company of Centenary Group. Centenary as a brand is the oldest indigenous or local financial institution in Uganda. We've made 41 years now. And we operate 2 banks, one in Uganda, one in Malawi, a foundation company. And at the core of who we are is the last mile people, the woman at Elego. I hope Mr. Wuma gets some assistance from my team who is here. Those bottlenecks such as expressed, we're happy to address them. And I'm happy to be back at High People. I think this is my 5th time, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
No doubt. And of course, thanks and commendation to the vision bearers at High People Foundation.
My name is Anna Namboze. I'm the country director for the Uganda-South Sudan programs with Trademark Africa. Trademark Africa essentially is a trade facilitation entity. We do support the government to create a better business environment, but we also work with the different traders here in Uganda and also in the 14 countries where we are established at the moment to become more competitive. So it is in this regard that we also have programs for cross-border traders. And picking up on your earlier discussion with Margaret, a cross-border trader, we describe them as traders that typically have consignments that are less than $2,000 per consignment. So then typically these are going to be people around the border communities, because anybody coming, for instance, from Kampala, your consignment is going to be more than that. I'll stop there for now.
All right.
My name is Brenda Mpora. I work as head of FinTech business at Postbank. And at Postbank, we are behind the Wendy mobile wallet. Wendy is derived from the Luganda word, meaning I'm here. So the Elegu women, we are here for them today.
All right.
Wendy mobile wallet is a dynamic product which I'll be taking you through with a variety of services. You will see that we are able to solution for the Elegu women, give them savings products. They don't have to come 100 kilometers to Gulu anymore. We will be giving them those products. They will be able to save and earn 10% interest per annum. I'll be taking you through so many things we are able to do. So Wendy Mobile Wallet by Postbank is here.
Thank you very much. That's interesting. Allow me to stay with you, Anna, on this, because I can attest to the fact that Madame Margaret Auma will be getting another term as chairperson, because she's going with a lot of solutions from the summit. So with matters digital financial services, what do you see as the main needs for women informal cross-border traders, especially that you've heard from one of them? Yes.
Oh, thank you, Chris. So the women, the informal cross-border women traders, of course, she has already told us, they need banking services closer to them.
That's right.
Of course, the banking services have to be affordable, they have to be secure, but also they need financial literacy. You realize that it's not the lack of money that is happening here. They have actually the resources, but they need someone to grow with them this journey to help them grow their businesses. So us at Postbank, of course, with the Wendy Mobile Wallet, this is what we do best. We come to such communities, we move this journey of financial literacy to them, telling them why even they have to save. How can they save? When they save, what can they do with the savings? So this is what exactly is happening with the challenges with the cross-border informal traders, and we believe that we have the solutions for them. Thank you.
All right. I would love to, I refer to you as Hannah, but that was intended mainly for the lady from Trademark Africa. It's very much related. Trademark Africa, given its footprint across the region, does have on-spot assessment of the many needs of these women from all border points across Uganda and indeed within the region. Have you been able to map out, and can you share some of what you think are the very specific aspects that you can identify?
All right, so working with the women at the cross-border areas, we have identified, by and large, many of these people get into trade not because they are specialists in what they are doing, but because there is a need to feed children, buy food, and so on and so forth. That is really the push factor. And also these people largely, even the hours that they're actually trading is not as long as, for instance, the gentlemen trade, because they have to wake up, clean the house, do everything, take care of the baby, go probably with the baby to their market and their trade, and then, you know, that's how the day goes. By 4 o'clock, they have to be dashing back home. What was mentioned in the first panel, gender-based violence is also very real. So some of them, their husbands shouldn't know they're not at home, they're working at certain hours, because otherwise it's a big problem. So finance for all traders is a big issue, access to capital.
That's right.
But for these women and for the cross-border traders, it is more dire. Most of them are informal, as you've heard from Margaret and the panel before. So this means they are not known by URSB, they don't have any of the documents the banks are going to require.
That's right.
So what we have done largely, and we've been working across about 30 borders, is to organize them in these associations, basically intermediary groups, associations, unions, circles, name it. Because here you can get some sort of formality, you get a sort of base, you get people who know you. When any training comes in from any donors, development partners, including ourselves, we go through those. So for Elego specifically, following the COVID-19 pandemic, we did have 3 identified borders where we were supposed to have an emergency cash facility.
Yeah.
But given, you know, how long it took, we only managed to implement it at Elego. It was very small. We had mapped out 720 women traders. We only managed to give 600, but that's because there are also issues like know your customer. They don't have IDs, for instance. And then we're doing this also through the phones because you want to make sure everybody has gotten it, the money hasn't synced somewhere, but then you also find out the phones are not in their names. So then what is the next step? And this is probably where the banks lack the patience. Then you have to say, okay, at least they belong to a trader association. Let us set up back, up and say you've been belonging to this association for the last 3 years. If we can have that consistency, then maybe we have a reliable base. We know you will not run away. You'll be able to, actually follow you up. So this was a grant. Each lady only received $150. It was $50 over 3 months, which may seem like peanuts to a trader here in Kampala. But for looking at the results we got from Elego, they were able to, for instance, lease more land to be able to grow for the next season. They were able to pay the most pertinent needs they have, like health and school fees. So this was a real need. So they need capital to be able to help them in their trade, but also cater for a lot more that they need to.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Mr. Chirenga and Penny, this question goes to you. Yeah. I don't know whether you're going to allow the lady go first.
Pardon?
Are you going to allow the lady go first? The next question goes to the
go first.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. Good gentleman. So do you have any specific examples that you can share with us in how these needs for these women are being met, and maybe where you intervene and how best you improve on what is already available?
So what is being done? I'll talk about digital financial providers that
That's
are
right.
providing loans to some of these women to actually be able to. She mentioned it was a challenge because of the KYC, but at least they are doing something, right? Yeah, then there are those who are providing insurance. I'll give an example. What Uganda has, we have an initiative called Your Payer Greek. It is more of an ecosystem, collecting both farmers, farmer cooperatives, and even the customers who are buying this produce. So basically, Elegu, we are coming. I spoke to our head of business and told him we need to go back, he needs our help. So that is some of the things we are doing: insurance, loans, opening the market for these women to be able to go out there. Then there are companies like Trademark. They're working with both all stakeholders, the regulators, and also the cooperatives as well, to ensure that the policies that are being developed are actually supporting these women and not just leaving them to, as you mentioned, I think Maggie mentioned, they have challenges at the border where they're taken advantage of. So Annu, I have to commend Anne for the work they're doing, but we're also coming. I had Chirenga and Brenda saying there, but we shall find ourselves there. The stress is enough for all of us,
Maybe Chirenga has been laying the ground for you to do the onboarding more comfortably. Any examples that you can share?
I have a couple of examples, and I'll begin from home, from Centenary. On the one hand, what we have done is that we have partnered with the government of Uganda, the Ministry of ICT, and the UNDP to, first of all, just bring a bit of clarity around this thing called digitalization of the nation. We've got a couple of plans. We have NDP3, and NDP4 is now coming. We have Digital Vision Uganda. We have all these various aspirations. And if you are an interested party, if you are a WND, Trademark, or Your Payer Greek, that's my hobbies, how do you participate in this effort to digitize the nation? How do you include people meaningfully, especially cross-border women? So we developed something called the Digital Transformation Roadmap, which is basically the how everyone from civil society to public sector to private sector to developing partners can participate to avoid duplication of efforts, but importantly, to have clarity of thought in what to do and how to do it. Now, that having been done last year, we're now also being participants in that effort. On the one hand, we are doing digital skilling. And this is across the nation at the border points, refugee areas, because we understand that it is one thing to have the infrastructure, one thing to have the device, but you need to know what to do. You need to be able to trust what you're going to do. And you don't get the trust through just dreaming about it. You must be handheld. You must be demonstrated to. You must be assured that if I put my money on an agent or a bank, I'll still find it tomorrow. Things like savings. So we are training women groups. We have women-specific products at the bank. Just recently, I was looking at the performance of the World Bank-funded GROW project, and our bank, fortunately, is the highest dispersing partner of that because it's addressing women. So one, there's the strategy of the how-to. We've done that. We are now participating in the skilling. We are extending financial services to the women. One other aspect which I need to bring, and since this is also a digital summit, is the reality that not everybody knows English in Uganda. So how do you meaningfully include through English?
That is right.
Yeah. So we have partnered with a company called Sandbird AI. It's a Ugandan company. They do machine language-based language translation that allows for us to be able to, even if it is as simple as just communicating to someone in Acholi or in Runyankore or in Lusoga, it can happen instantaneously without them having to wait for some time for us to first go to Makerere, look for a translator. So this is, so we're now actually using technology, artificial intelligence, to be able to enhance how we engage with people and try and just participate in that effort to say, let us include women, especially the ones at the borders.
Okay.
I can continue if there's still time.
1 minute. I know the AI imperative is very interesting, especially when you look at the last mile customers and how best they can be part of it without necessarily waiting for the amount of time that is taken translation. But submit.
Yeah, you know, and just to, I'll tell you that the unfortunate bit, and this is maybe where we can also partner in the room, is that in these trainings that we are doing, women are shying away. I'm a man, so I cannot speak for them, but I'll tell you that women will shy away because they believe that that thing is too, I don't know, maybe it's not relevant, I don't know. But I think we can also just talk about this thing of how do we get more women to want to be trained, to want to be present, to want to be able to get these skills. Because as Anna said, they are doing quite a lot. If you go to the rural areas, you'll find that most of the shops during the morning are closed. Why? Because the women are in the field tilling the land. They come in the afternoon. And where are the men? Where are you and I, Chris? We are sleeping off our hangovers because it is the women who work. So I think that is a challenge that I hope in this discussion, even if after us, we can be able to address that. Thank you.
All right, you've just triggered, and no doubt at a certain point we shall be able to. Brenda Mpora, the chance to break down the aspects that you talked about at first, after that opportunity came through, with regard to the fact that these women are operating go-around saving schemes. And the lady, Margaret Auma, spoke about the fact that sometimes it requires 3 people to go and conduct a withdrawal. And really, that is very 1980s. And so what are you crafting for them?
Thank you. So we already actually have a solution for such operations.
Okay.
Wendy Mobile Wallet has a great innovation around circles and saving groups. And saving groups here, we mean VSLs, Chibinas, any form of how people save. So we took note of how these groups operate. They are very, very key in ensuring that all their transactions are secure and they are approved. The same model you've seen that they need to go to the bank, 3 of them. Yeah. So within the same Wendy Mobile Wallet, a group can be created and the leadership mandate maintained. That is for the chairperson, the secretary, the treasurer. It's maintained within the same group, meaning to ensure that the transactions are still approved by the 3 people. So in regards to that, also the members, like you see the Elegu team or the Elegu cross-border women, will be able to be added onto that group, the 800 members, to enable them easily save. Of course, we know they are very far from the bank. We will bring the agents near to them, the Wendy agents. So all that is done. If I need a transaction saved, I will be able to send it, full visibility, the leadership team, the member. They're able to see all that happening. And then in the event I need money, because we know they operate also small loans. Yeah. They are able to initiate. Again, approval is done within the leadership. All that is done within the Wendy Mobile Wallet, digitized. You don't have to be in the same place. You know they've been meeting particular days to save, so they have to move kilometers to come save, let's say, money and then go. No, they can save wherever they are. The leadership can approve transactions wherever they are at their convenience. Agents are near them, all that done within the Wendy Mobile Wallet. And then the icing on the cake, because they've been saving money and sharing the same money without growing it. So we are able to give them attractive interest rates. They earn them on a daily. They are able to see them. They are able to access them anytime. All that is done through the access of our USSD, because we know majority have feature phones. They've said smartphones are quite, expensive. Yeah. But even those with the smartphones, they're able to access the same through the Play Store and the App Store. So we are very cognizant of this issue for savings through the groups or through the communities. I think even this week on the news, if anyone saw that story, a group saved money and it got burnt into the house. All of it. If you've been to these communities, I don't even know how to explain. Yeah, they meet on a weekly basis and save their small money. So imagine at the time of sharing, the box is somewhere and then money is burned. And not only that, they also face the risk of these boxes being stolen. We had a case in Nebi, money was saved, I think around 90 million. At the time of sharing, the box went missing. And even the people who keep boxes, they don't sleep. They will tell you anything moving at night, they are scared. So when the mobile wallet has come to take away all that, we want to change that story. We want to grow with these Ugandans, the cross-border women traders, to support them, digitize their savings, digitize their transactions, their operations, without taking away what has been happening when they meet as a group.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. That reminds me a story of a savings group that had money disappear, and when the treasurer was asked, she conveniently blamed the money. Apparently, it smells nice, and the rats found it spicy, and they went for it. But those are some of the problems I think the digitization can help improve. Anna, there is the ISOCO program. I'll pronounce it American style. But if it were British, we could go another way. I think it's about showcasing the products available through commerce, but most importantly, how is the integration of payments and transaction completion being achieved, or how best can it be improved?
Okay, so the ISOCO, which you correctly pronounced, because
Thank
it's internet, there are two words, internet, and then SOCO is really Sokoni for market in Swahili.
Sure.
Yes, so ISOCO is an internet trading platform developed by East Africans for the sake of, again, the aim was for the cross-border communities, small businesses. Essentially, it's rolled out in 5 countries: Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. And it has about 59,000 users at the moment. Rollout was last year for most of these countries. But if I may also use the opportunity regarding financing, we are rolling out at 3 borders, which will be Mutukula, Elegu, as we've already heard today. We're working a lot in that region. And also one DRC border, which will probably be Goli, which is in West Nile, or in Toroko, which is in the west. An analysis will have to be done on just one of them. Okay. But this is going to be a revolving fund that will be to institutionalize it, so that we are working with the financial institutions based there to be able to have a revolving fund again to help the cross-border traders. This will help so that even after we leave, the fund remains and it's able to benefit the communities.
Okay. Penny, quickly talk to us about why cross-border transactions are still expensive and relatively unstable.
Thank you, Chris. When you look at these women in informal cross-border trade, they have to basically trade in another country. So that means if they are to trade to that other country, they need to register that country, at the same time also register the side. So you find there are a couple of payments they are making, not only the different legal entities, but even at the border, they also have to pay. So you find they're paying at the border, Office A, Office B, Office C. By the time they're actually calculating how much they have made, they're actually losses. So it is quite expensive. So that is why I'm saying it's important to work with the regulators to be able to streamline the process, so that if it is a payment, it is made one-off, than having multiple payments being made here and there. The other one is that now, as the digital financial institutions, we have to implement the different infrastructure. Uganda just got out of the gray area. So you find that KYC and AML is very strict. So how do you implement this from all the different countries? Kenya has theirs, Sudan has theirs. So you need to find a sophisticated system that can handle this level of compliance, such that if Margaret is going to trade with another country, she's able to do so seamlessly. So when you incorporate all these costs, you find that it is still high. But the East African communities are trying to see how they can reduce these risks and be able to, these costs, such that the payments are actually seamless and affordable for the cross-border informal traders.
Okay. Mr. Chirenga, let's talk about devices and network at the border, which are some of the key hindrances to transactions interoperability. These being huge contributors to the MFI market support with device and data loans, is something that you've already rolled out, or are you planning to, especially to handle or rather attend to the fact that the gadgets are expensive? away from the fact that they fear them.
Yeah, that one is, I mean, it's beyond engaging with the government, because the reason as to why devices are expensive, and this I know from my previous life selling them, is that they are just taxed too highly in Uganda. I think it's about now 35%. So the only way we can overcome that, I believe, is to engage the government, Ministry of Finance, to explore removing some of those taxes to spur growth.
Okay.
From, you know, aside from that, I think we need to also just have conversations with the telecom companies, with the MNOs, to just, you see, for the telecom companies, where they go is where it is commercially viable. So if they consider an illegal area to be not viable enough for them to go there, you will not see a bank or a telecom or... So I think we just need to have these conversations and just demonstrate that there can be value that can be created once you spur it, once you encourage it. So from that perspective, what we're doing as Centenary is that, because at the core of who we are, even in the name it says rural, it is those last mile communities, those small traders that include at the borders. We're trying to work with different partners and you know, to see how we can come in. And I'm happy that I've heard from Anna that they are going to have some action at the border towns. So I'll be happy to have that conversation and say, you know what, can we, as a result of having been on the same panel at High People, can we now take this forward and see how Trademark and Centenary can work towards including and making better the women at the border points, because they have a revolving fund. We have the infrastructure that can allow them to reach women at the last mile. We have the platforms that can allow for that meaningful and equitable inclusion. So yeah, so from that perspective, around devices, around infrastructure, I know that from the roadmap that we curated, we have made recommendations around cross-border connectivity. Uganda has, I think, out of the maybe 10, about maybe 6 are connected. But you know, what can we do more to ensure that we have fiber going there? There's the World Bank project that the Ministry of ICT is implementing with agency NITA called UDAB. How do we support them to be part of that, to ensure that your location from the city, your location from where the activity is not a barrier of entry into financial services and digital services?
Okay.
Yeah.
Brenda Mbora, device loans at Post Bank. I think you do enjoy the same advantages like Centenary, only largely name changes. You also have a rural footprint, don't you?
Oh, yes, thank you, Chris, for that. So first, what we are going to support the cross-border traders in regards to devices, how can they access them? We want to empower them. Yeah, we don't have a product which we are going to bring devices. However, we have tailored loans at very affordable interest rates, because at Postbank, our purpose is to foster prosperity for all Ugandans. That's what we live and breathe for. So we have tailored solutions for the VSLS. Now, these women have been saving money at home, or you heard that their account, when it's not active, they are not able to get like capital easily. So now, through Wendy, they are able to get access to these loans, affordable. We also are part of the Grow loan in partnership with Government of Uganda and World Bank, which is enabling all kinds of women entrepreneurs, micro, small, medium, to grow their businesses. So with those products, we believe we are going to empower these women economically. And then they are not going to be only affording loans, but also improving their standards of living. Yeah? All that is going to be supported with what we have at Postbank.
Okay, let me just come to Anna. How does Trademark meet the aspect of cost and the stability of cross-border transactions? What are the interventions there?
Of the actual transactions?
The cost and stability. I don't know, the devices can be provided, no doubt, at low cost, and then that should be able to help ease the conduct of business, but also ensure speeds are sufficient so that people are making decisions and thinking at the speed of business. What do you intend to offer as a support to that particular infrastructure that will be created?
So in addition to the revolving funds, and again, based on how much donor financing we get, what we've done, for instance, in Rwanda and Tanzania is also to cost share with specific value chains. For instance, if we have a dairy value chain, then you know their pain point is to get a certain machine that they need to be able to make their trade better.
Okay.
So then you cost share with the groups that have been formed, and then you're able to put up a certain cost, and then the ladies put in a certain cost. This also helps them to get more ownership as opposed to just giving them, which would be okay. But that's another methodology we have. But for now, it's really the revolving funds, some grants, and then cost sharing is really what we are looking at to help them. Yes.
Penny, are you thinking along that line too, or you're comfortable with giving your experience?
What we're mainly doing is providing highly customized systems. So banks, remittance companies, and any other digital financial institution can integrate with our systems and be able to provide cheaper costs to the women informer who are doing transactions. So we are mainly looking at how can we simplify payments securely and also reach the last person other than just focusing here. But you can only do that by partnerships and investments. We can't do that alone, yes.
All right. Lastly, Mr. Chirenga, the role of innovation in all this. Could it be something that the women informal cross-border traders look at other people intervening, or innovation can also come from within themselves?
Yeah, so I mean, yes, it can come from within themselves, but maybe I'll just share around what's happening. From the perspective of Centenary, we understand that the traditional credit scoring won't work for some of those women.
Yeah.
So we are now deploying machine learning-based credit scoring engines to say that, okay, now as a woman, can you at least show us a record of your transactions?
Yeah.
Can you show us the volume of your yield? Can you, so that we now use non-financial or non-traditional ways of credit scoring to be able to extend services to them as they would want them. The second one, as I had mentioned, was the aspect of language. We have begun translating in real time using artificial intelligence to be able to communicate with them and engage with them. The other one that I believe would also be impactful for them would be around extending, once they have been upskilled, can we extend some sort of digital marketplaces for them?
Okay.
So that if you're in Uganda and you want to trade with Kenya, because already we know that we have the East African payment system in place that connects the Kenya, Interbank, Tanzania, and Uganda. Now, how do we extend that as a realistic way of enabling transactions for women? But that can only happen once you have trained them, once you have walked them the journey of first accepting that digital is a way of life, that you can access help on your phone, whether it's smart or feature phone, and then eventually they can begin to participate from that perspective.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I would have loved to give you an opportunity to make commitments, but what you have shared and how you're going to roll that out is commitment enough. It shows that you are up to ensuring that women cross-border business traders begin to, make money. That will do it for this panel session. I was going to say this edition of the broadcast. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please, you can make your way.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me invite Mr. Vincent Tumwejuche, the founder and CEO of FutureLink Technologies, to deliver a speech themed "How Can Startups Coexist with Growing Regulation and Licensing Demands?" Thank you so much.
So Nicholas just introduced me, and I just wanted to take a few minutes before I dive into this to say something about FutureLink. Yes, as Nicholas has mentioned, it's 18 years ago when we started in a garage on Kamocha with $300 equivalent, that is 1 million shillings, and with a borrowed desk and a chair. And we have seen typically what a startup in Africa goes through. Talk about walking, long distances because you don't have money. You're talking about, crossing flooded areas, the Bwaise areas, and almost drowning, falling into a manhole, coming from work late in the night, and reaching home without shoes and with mud. And the next day you realize that actually you had one pair of shoes and you have to go to work in sandals. That's the kind of resilience that is required for an African entrepreneur. And like Nicholas has mentioned, we are a community-driven marketplace for financial services regulated by Bank of Uganda as a national payment system operator, serving about 1 million people with over 340 SACCO branches across the country, but also having others in Zambia. The story that I'm going to share with you is one that is informed by our own personal experiences, and perhaps some of you can relate with and be encouraged to actually walk in to make this world a better place. So, speaking to a startup, what is a startup? A startup is not a small company. It's not a young company. A startup is an entity that is seeking to do things in a different way. A startup is a company that is looking out and developing a new business model, a scalable business model that is meant to serve hundreds of thousands and millions of people. So that is what we call a startup. So I know that there are some startups, but you can be an old company, you can be a big company, you can have a lot of money and still be a startup if you are changing the industry, if you are coming up with business models that work for the unincluded, the excluded. So that is the startup. And I would like to put, a startup in 3 phases. So you start the early stage startup. So many of us are in that stage, early stage. So you will fund with your own savings. You will perhaps speak to your own relatives who will give you some money. And some of you, like me, you will actually be able to work without money for months. So I know what it means to be to wake up and come to your garage as it is, and you find a padlock because you have not paid rent. So a startup is really a rough journey. And if you are not signed up for that, then you are in the wrong place. So that is the early stage. The second stage is the growth stage. So you have figured out your business model, a scalable model. You have achieved your product market fitness. You know that you have a product and the product has available customers to be able to pay for it. That usually takes some time. Now, the challenges of growth stage are the conflict that we're going to be talking about with regulators. Because here you are talking about money that is not necessarily yours. It's money coming from venture capitalists whose cycle are usually 10 years. So every VC, somebody has raised money from a VC here? Just put up your hand. A venture capital fund. Oh, Kalunji, we have some work to do here. Because I think that many of us may be starting these companies as self-employment. A startup is not just to give you a job. It's meant to serve millions of people, employ more people, but leverage other people's money to be able to scale and serve the nation. So this is now perhaps what is relevant to you. So if you have figured out a working business model, the next stage is to acquire financing from venture capitalists. Now, the challenge of that money is that they are usually limited. The fund is usually about 10 years. So when you raise money from a VC, a fund that has only 5 years left, it means as you draw closer to the end of the cycle, they need to get back their money to be able to pay back the investors. Are we together? Now, usually that is the conflict because you need things moving faster. The scale. So the investors will be saying, but where are the million people that you said you would acquire? And then the regulator is saying, no, you need to slow down. You need to make sure that KYC is complete. So this is usually the conflict in which we are going to be speaking about. And I'm happy the minister is here. I also happen to be the chairperson of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy Working Group in charge of the deepening of the usage of financial services hosted at the central bank. And these are the questions that we are speaking about. You cannot have a regulator or regulators who are not familiar with the cycle of VC funding. It becomes extremely frustrating. So this is the conflict. So a startup will be driven by revenue. So as you can see, it's revenue. You said you're going to make, $1 million annual revenue. Where is the revenue? It is driven by impact because these VC venture capital funds are set up to create impact. So where is the impact? Where are the women? Where are the youth? So, and then you have investors. So the drivers of a startup are these three. And then, of course, when you have gone through the growth stage, then you have the private equity. These are big funds which can give you, millions of dollars for you to be able to expand to other markets, replicating your business model. Now, when we look at the next slide, these are now regulators. The regulatory authority. Who is a regulatory agency? This is an entity that is established by government in order to regulate and license some human activity, some areas of human activity in the interest of the public good. So for example, you have, in the case of FinTechs, you have the central bank, which is mandated under the National Payment Systems Act to regulate FinTech activities. But in that, you have also the Financial Intelligence Authority, which is in charge of anti-money laundering. Then you have NITA, which through the Electronic Transactions Act, they are supposed to make sure that they monitor systems that are handling intermediation, money intermediation. And then you have personal data protection, again, that is NITA. Now, if you are a startup and you are thinking about a business model that is meant to serve millions of people, you need to be aware of this. And by this, if you have not, please, don't keep hiding. Don't keep hiding because it is very risky. It's riskier to have gone, if you are traveling to Mbarara, to have gone to Masaka, and then you are told, you need to come back to Kampala because the regulator has power to do that. So, these are the conflicts. Now, the drivers of regulators are three, in my opinion. One is risk. So while the startup is talking about revenue, you cannot say, if I can only do this, I am going to make a lot of money. The regulator is not interested in how much money you're going to make. The regulator is interested in what is the risk. So you need to understand where they're coming from. And then they are also interested in impact. So if you are a startup, clarify your impact on the nation. How is your work impacting lives in the rural area? Measure it, quantify it, bring it out in a story so that the regulators are able to understand that when they restrict your activities, they are directly impacting the rural population. And then it goes also without saying that the regulators are influenced by politics, politicians. That is another truth. Because every government comes with an agenda. And this agenda is implemented through regulation. So if they don't understand you, a startup, you are at a disadvantage. So you don't present, how much money you're going to make. When you are speaking to regulators, you must address how your work is going to, 1, address risk, 2, address impact, and 3, address the politics of the time. If you ignore that, you are headed for clashing with the regulator, and they have the power. Now, having addressed how the different two players are coming, the perspectives, the backgrounds are different. Now, we go to the conflict. So you have the startup, and the founders usually are optimistic. They know they're going to make it. There was a time when we were raising money, and we spoke to this individual and explained how much money we're going to make. And this guy, sat down and listened to us. Those were many years ago. And after I had passionately really spoken about how much we were going to make, the guy said, in dreams, you cannot lose any money. In other words, he was telling me to wake up and wake up from the sleep. And usually that is the dilemma that founders have. We speak only from dreams. We speak how much money we're going to make. And forgetting that sometimes the people we are speaking to are not driven by how much money you're going to make. So they are always optimistic. The regulator, on the other hand, is pessimistic. They actually want to understand what could possibly go wrong. So when you are speaking to the regulator, understand where they are coming from. Because when things go wrong, they lose their jobs. And then you have, the startup wants to move fast because of the pressure of investors. Sometimes people who have given you money, now they want it back, or they want it at an interest. So how do you actually address this? You must go fast, but the regulator will want to go slow. Why? Because slow is stability. They seek stability. They don't seek to change things. Okay? Then the founders are usually tech savvy. They understand technology. On the other hand, many regulators, will not be as equally tech savvy. Then the founders have the big desire of a bigger market. They want to be here in Uganda, but they also want to be in Zambia. Now, for the regulator, the more customers and the more geographical areas, the more markets you serve, the bigger the risk. So they would be happy to constrain you in one market, which they understand. So if you're going to go to another country and you are speaking to the central bank, please come with a way you are going to address this risk from their own perspective. Because they would be happy for you to serve a smaller market, which they understand because it brings down the risk and the amount of work. And then, of course, the startup is inspired by the customers and investors. On the other hand, the regulators are influenced by the politics of the time. So understand them. If you're going to have a relationship, and a good relationship that can influence how regulators work. Internally, this is something that I would like to propose to you, the PAC model. The PAC model is an acronym that you could use. 1 P stands for people. The people that are in your organization. Are they people of integrity? Do they desire to learn? Do they have ownership? If you are a startup founder, you are going to find that the people you're going to employ must and first and foremost must be owners. How do you include them in the decision making? Because it's very difficult to comply with regulation as an individual. The regulator, you will have traveled, and the Bank of Uganda will be asking for some report. You will have heart attack responding to different regulators. Because as we have noted, you have the Bank of Uganda, you have NITA, you have Financial Intelligence Authority, you have NITA again for personal data protection, and then you have different audits. You cannot do it as an individual. So what FutureLink has done is to, for example, come up with employee stock ownership program. So people who work with FutureLink can actually become owners of the company. We try to be as transparent as possible. Everything that the revenues and everything, everyone knows, because there is nothing to hide. I mean, your revenues and your financials are going to be submitted to the central bank, and they're going to be published at the end of the year. So your employees should not be learning your financials from the papers. So when you demonstrate that you are an open book, people buy in, people work together. And then the architecture. Architecture is, the kind of organizational structure that you have. Do you have an organizational structure that actually works? Do you have a functional board? I remember when we set up our first board, in that garage. We would sit in that garage and call it a board, prepare reports without even revenue. I am surprised that a company, you have gone to 100 million and you don't have a functional board? Are you serious? Do you really mean to actually scale over Uganda and go to another market? Or you are creating for yourself a job? You are self-employed. So set up a board and be accountable to it. Allow them to ask you tough questions. If you are going to be, the startup as we have defined it, we have said a startup is not necessarily a young company. A startup is a company that is seeking to do things differently. You can be $1 million, you can be $100 million and still be a startup. Amazon is still in a way a startup because it is changing how people work, how people live. Google still operates as a startup. So it is a new way of working. And then routines. R stands for routines. Do you have some unwritten rules that bind you together as a family, as a team? Celebrating birthdays and recognizing the contribution of different people is part of how to build a team that works together. And then lastly, the culture of transparency. Is it a fair play within this company? Are you playing fair? Are the people interested in learning? Is it a collaborative team? Do people actually willingly contribute? Or it is a competition? When you find people competing, withholding information from colleagues, how do you actually grow in such an environment? People are scared of their jobs. They cannot leave a glass of water and come and take the water. You have people, you cannot be a startup and people are watching their back. They are fearing, that they could be poisoned. You leave those things in these big traditional companies. But for a startup, you need everyone hands on the deck. And because of that, people must begin to feel safe. They must feel safe in the environment. Because when people are safe, they are willing to give their whole. When they are safe, they are willing to actually defend the company. When they are safe, they are willing to actually watch for the company. When they are safe, they will tell the risks that are coming. Now, as we conclude, as we having sorted out the people element, the culture, the architecture, these are some of the steps that you can actually take deliberately. One, clarify your mission. As you noted, both the startup and the regulator are interested in impact. So if you are able to clarify your impact, that is the convergence area. No regulator will outrightly outlaw impact because they know when the politicians investigate and find that they were, they will be careful to shut down something that is creating positive impact. So clarify your mission. 2, establish impact metrics. Begin to measure this impact. For example, we know of the people that are being served on the platform. We know that we are measuring savings per capita on our platform. We are able to tell that last year, for example, savings per capita on our platform, with all the people that are being served across the 340 circle branches, we know that savings per capita grew from 290,000 to 320,000. That's a positive. So begin to measure this impact. And then maintain a comprehensive risk register. When we are raising money and sometimes I look at some brothers and sisters talking on TV and all that. Founders are good to tell just the positive story. We want to tell the positive story, only the positive story, ignoring risk. But when you begin to actually operate at scale, I can tell you, the risk that is there could actually write you off. So be comprehensive and honest about your risk. Maintain a risk register. And in that risk register, quantify the value, monetary value of impact. Sometimes we say, financial risks, but we don't quantify if this event happens, what is the monetary impact on my company, on my strategy. When you clarify the impact, I can tell you, you will not have sleep until that issue has been addressed. And that is one of the ways to include everybody, because once everybody understands what is at stake, you are able to buy in. They are able to buy in and give you their whole heart. Next, maintain a compliance matrix. So as you can see, we are reporting to different bodies. And that is not to mention the different audits that have to happen. So it is important to have someone that is watching over the risk. And don't say, I am still a small company. Be fair to all. Be fair to all. Play a fair game. Because I have said startups are companies that are seeking to do things differently. And because you are seeking to do things differently, you will be affecting some people in the ecosystem. So be intentional to play fair. Because that is the way you will get the goodwill from the people. And you must grow up. That is the next thing. This business of saying, we are still a company, a small company, why doesn't Bank of Uganda, favor us? I will give you an example of what happened. So we had just gotten a license from the central bank, and it was in December. What I did not know, I thought, okay, so December we have just gotten a license. So there are requirements which cost money and whose deadline is on the 30th of January. So we have gotten a license in December, and there are deadlines. We have just paid money for the license, and there are deadlines, a particular deadline that is due 30th January. Now, I thought that since we've just gotten a license, this license should at least last me, a whole year, right? So I go on, I'm a small company. The central bank should understand that, right? So the deadline comes and goes. And then on the 15th of February, I receive a letter show cause why you should not be penalized. And every day of default was 2 million, and now it is 15th. That is 30 million shillings. Why you should not be penalized? I started literally shaking. And then I called some people that I had, known at the central bank, and no one was willing to pick my calls. And finally, when this person actually spoke later, when the issue had been resolved, the person told me, when this issue arises, please don't call me. We are not going to be babysitting any company. It was a call to actually grow up, because sometimes some initiative is lost from the will. We think we do not have the will to comply. There is initiative that is lost from the lack of will to comply. But I can tell you, if you are going to grow a business, attract investors, and scale to other markets, which we badly need. By the way, Uganda is doing very badly. This is why I am very passionate to share my story. Because when there is only one company that is able to attract funding, it becomes very difficult for the next to actually attract funding. Extremely difficult. You will hear investors saying, oh, we love you, the traction, we love the progress, but we would like to hear from you when you have crossed over to Kenya. Why? Because there are very few companies that have raised the money here. So it works for me and works for everybody when every company that is here is doing their best to shine the light of fintechs and inclusion. So we must grow up. And then lastly, comply. Do your best to comply. And with that, I hope this aspiration that FutureLink has at heart can come to life. A better Africa with financial freedom for all. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I wish I could speak with such passion. There are so many things that you learn every time you interact with people. I hope we can take everything that was presented, but think about growing up in all aspects. So our next is a panel discussion. I would like to invite the panelists who will be helping us with perspective and insight into digital loans and their contribution to the last mile financial inclusion agenda. I would like to invite on stage Emmanuel Oketa, Managing Director, Fido Credit. Please make your way. Eli Chibuka Mukasa, Executive Director, Metropole Credit Reference Bureau, Uganda. Please make your way. Wilfred Bawire, Country Director, Jumo. Please, you're most welcome. Mercy Angela Nantongo, Digital Product Manager, Village Enterprise. Helen Kirungi, Senior Manager, Loans and Savings, MTN Mobile Money, Uganda. Please make your way to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This panel will be moderated by Vivienne Iga Kikoni, a fintech professional. Please, you're most welcome.
Today we'll discuss a panel discussion topic, digital loans and their contribution to the last mile financial inclusion. I'll ask the panelists today to introduce themselves and in less than 2 minutes present the digital credit service that your organization offers. Starting with you, Helen.
Thank you, Vivian. My name is Helen Chirungi. I serve as the Senior Manager, Loans and Savings, MTN Uganda, and I'm privileged to be here. At MTN, we have a couple of loan products, and these are all digital. We have those targeted to consumer to address the needs of the consumers. Our portfolio is quite vast. We have more cash, we have more advance, we have extra cash, more Pesa, more Sente. So we have quite a number that address the specific needs of customer. Then we have the business side, where we also address the business needs for SMEs and merchants, and that's the Wezimbe loan portfolio. We have Wezimbe loans, we have extra float, and those sort of address the needs of the customer from a loans perspective.
Thank you, Helen. Over to you, Eli.
My name is Eli Chivoka Mkasa. I'm the Executive Director at Metropole Credit Reference Bureau, Uganda. We have presence in Uganda. We also have presence in Kenya. So we consider ourselves regional. As you've heard, credit reference bureaus are in the business of credit risk management. And I think the previous speaker has just touched a very important aspect. How can you do business, lending business, without managing your risk? So credit reference bureaus are there to collect this information, the credit data, put it together in what you call a bureau or storage, create products that you can use to assess anybody who comes to you asking you to lend them money. So we try and secure you, manage your risk, allow you to come to us, and even develop certain solutions that could make your lending decisions easier. And now that we are talking to digital lenders, I think it gets more interesting because it moves away from just the traditional data gathering of banks and moves into what is now a very interesting space of digital lenders. I have a number I want to share. When we got a license in 2015, we were collecting information, credit information from only the banks. And all the banks in Uganda, I think there are about 33. We call them participating institutions because they share credit information. All of them combined in this entire market of Uganda were making less than 50,000 credit inquiries at the bureau, meaning the combined 33 banks in Uganda were only inquiring at the bureau loan applications less than 50,000 for the entire country. And this number is true. And it went on probably like that, persisted on up to about 2017. This only changed recently when I think the space now started accepting digital loans to start participating. I'll continue to tell you more about that story. But specifically today, and for this group of people who are interested in this digital space, reference bureaus support you mainly, and we interact with what you call integrations with your systems to use quick decisioning mechanisms, which we all know as credit scoring. So for now, I'll stop there and allow other members to introduce themselves. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Eli, Executive Director, Metropole Credit Reference Bureau. Over to you, Wilfred.
My name is Wilfred Wabwire, Country Director, Jumo. So Jumo is the market-leading banking infrastructure provider. So our platform leverages artificial intelligence to provide financial services in emerging markets. So our platform also is able to build and configure products for our partners who include mobile money providers, the likes of MTN, Airtel on the one side, but we also offer the same financial services for the customers of our capital providers. In Uganda, we particularly partner with Airtel Money Uganda to offer the Wewale credit service on their Airtel Money USSD. We also partner with MTN Mobile Money to offer the Mosente credit service. Now, since our inception, we've been able to serve coming now to around 6 million unique Ugandans And behind this number of 6 million, you have got your women, your youth, your Ugandans involved in MSMEs. Those are your informal, micro, small, and medium enterprises. So there is so much I can share, but for now I'll pause for that. But I'm really passionate whenever I start to talk about digital credit and its impact in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you, Wilfred, Country Director, Jumo. Over to you, Emmanuel.
My name is Oketa Emmanuel. I'm the Managing Director at FIDO. I'm glad that we have a brother from Ghana because we also started from Ghana, but now we're in Uganda. So if you made it in Ghana, I believe the people of Uganda shall also be in position to partake of the services that we are going to offer to them. FIDO is dedicated to empowering Ugandans financially by making sure that loans are easily accessible to them without any collateral or without any hidden fees, so that they are then enabled to ensure that whatsoever it is that the institutions that, like the banks, the institutions that overlook them, all right, so that they're easily empowered, and the gap between them not being able to get loans is closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Over to you, Mercy.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mercy Angela Nantongo. I am the Digital Product Manager at Village Enterprise. And Village Enterprise is an NGO that works in remote areas in Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, and Ethiopia currently, where we provide funds to start businesses for first-time entrepreneurs in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy. So this is to Helen and Mercy. For the benefit of our audience, can you tell us briefly what digital loans are? And how is the uptake of these digital savings and loans products in your different organizations? Are they democratically serving the last mile audiences, women, youth? For Helen, I'll give you a chance to give us the perspective from an MNO. And for Mercy, I'll give you the opportunity to give us the perspective from the end user perspective.
So when I look at loans, basically you're looking at funding for the underserved clientele. You're looking at empowering them to be able to do what they ideally wouldn't have done because of lack of capital. So you're funding and financing their activities. I must say that if I look at it from a perspective of where I sit, I must say they are really serving the youth, the women, and the underserved. And specifically, if you saw the results when MTN released the results, the transactions on mobile money as of September were over 114 trillion. Currently, the customers that we are serving, and this is unique for a month, is about 2 million in loans. These are customers that are taking loans to be able to do that which they need to do. For example, their businesses, sometimes it's health. You saw the previous panelists were speaking about loans for health. It's about empowering and their businesses. And if I sort of broke it down further, of the 114 trillion, from a digital loans perspective, it's been about 1.2 trillion, Jan to September. I'll speak to the results that are already published. And this shows how much we are empowering to that level of detail. What we've also seen with our data is that 47% of these are women. We are coming from a point of some years ago where there were only 11% women taking up these loans, which speaks to right now the empowerment that MTN as a brand is doing out there. We have a platform that we've enabled for all to be able to serve all, and we actually partner with licensed companies to provide these loans. And the beauty about it is these loans are very accessible. You'll see that when you go to a loan shark, they are asking you to put your land title, your house, your car. That's not it for us. For us, it's about serving that customer in the village somewhere that has originally been putting money in the brow under the pillow, and now they've started to go digital by putting money on mobile money, and they don't have any collateral. So it's those unsecured loans, it's out there, available to literally everyone. A customer doesn't have to take a taxi and register and maybe all this location and stuff. We use the already existing KYC that we have to be able to provide these loans for these customers. It's instant, it's secure, no one has to approve it. Ideally, as long as you're scored, you have a limit, you're able to take it. And let me just say that these loans are accessible in *165, *5#, and I implore all of you to try them out. Thank you.
Wow, what a good job MTN is doing. 45% women. Incredible. Marcy.
So I'll talk a bit about Village Enterprises' approach. Part of our strategy, we call it the FY27 strategy. So by 2027, we want to have 95% of the entrepreneurs that are part of our program having access to mobile devices, and this means a mobile phone. And for Village Enterprise, that just means that we realize that the future is digital and we shouldn't leave the entrepreneurs behind. So we want to move our programming away from just us having digital tools internally that make our work more efficient to our entrepreneurs also having it to run their businesses. So we are currently scaling out applications that help them digitize their businesses, their record keeping for the businesses, but then also for their business savings groups, which are VSLAs for people that know them. So we're having them digitize those records, which means they can actually then have, year-long and 2-year-long worth of records that show how they've been saving every week in their groups and how they've been using that money for their businesses to then help them get access to credit. So we've had groups that graduated from our program 2-3 years ago, but have been keeping records in pilot groups that we were testing this out with before we started rolling it out. And they've been keeping their records for a while over that period of time. And now they're getting access to loans via the applications that we're giving them. So we're working with a number of partners in the different countries that we're working in so that they can keep their records in those platforms and then get access to loans. So what we want for them to be able to have is, even if you don't have collateral like land or property or physical assets that the traditional financing providers will want, because you have a history of how you've been using and keeping your money, you get better access to services like this.
Oh, wonderful. Opportunities are being provided to individuals out there. Great job. So Emmanuel and Wilfred, what criteria do you go through before qualifying someone from accessing these digital loans?
Thank you. I'll go first. So, number one, a customer has to opt into the service. Like I've indicated, if you're on MTN mobile money, you have to dial that short code and then opt into the product. In this case, it's Mosente. If you're on Airtel money, you have to dial *185 and then opt into Wewole. Now, when you opt in, we then get alternative data about you as an applicant. And for me, this is very important because when the lady from Elegu was speaking, she said, they are around 100 kilometers from the nearest bank. And so what we do, we meet our customers from where they are. We look at the alternative data about you from our partners, MTN and Airtel. And then we are able to assess your eligibility. Now, let me talk about this thing called alternative data and demystify it. When we talk about alternative data, we mean, information about you, your KYC, your customer information. Are you transacting and active on Airtel or mobile money? Because if you went to your traditional brick and mortar, they will tell you, give me a bank statement to be able to offer you credit. We are saying, no, continue doing your hustle, your gig, or your work, but let us get the information about how you are whether it's data or mobile money, and then we'll look at that data and then be able to assess your affordability. Now, once you meet our eligibility criteria, we've got KYC about you, you've opted into the service and accepted the product terms and conditions. On application, once you qualify, you are able to get the money there and then. I must also emphasize what Helen said earlier. Our products, we do not ask for collateral, so it's that really simple. We look at what is available about you, your financial footprint, your digital financial footprint, and then you're able to get the money. It's really that simple. Yes.
Fantastic. Emmanuel.
Well, thank you very much. Our loans are offered through a mobile app platform called the Fido app. So first and foremost, all our customers should have a mobile phone. And furthermore, they should also have access to internet, all right? Because it is through internet where they'll be able to download the Fido app. Now, once that is done, I believe most of our customers from wherever they are will be able to take the KYC. I've heard a lot about it already. But we use this information, or lots of information, several other factors, to help us either approve or to help us qualify or disqualify a customer. Now, all this information through machine learning will help us to get a FIDO score. And if a customer is within the limit or above the limit, he or she then will qualify for a loan. But if a customer is also below the limit, we give him options to improve his score. And once the score is improved, then he or she will be in a position to get funds instantly, disbursed through our dear colleagues' wallets, MTN or Airtel.
Simple, fast, convenient. Ellie, this is yours. As a credit reference bureau, what is your contribution to this credit score and how democratic are these scores?
So like I said earlier, previously the law only allowed us to collect data from commercial banks. It was only amended in 2022 January to now include data from other lenders other than the commercial banks. So before 2022 January, we were only getting credit data from commercial banks. And that was not inclusive enough. You can imagine almost 70% of people in Uganda borrow money from other sources. You can imagine the number of loan applications that would go unattended to in the commercial banks. And then if I fail to get a loan in the bank, I'll opt to go to a money lender, and you know what happens there. But now we are in an era that is modern. We have a room full of digital lenders, people who know about technology, and the government that has enabled us with a law, not only a law, but also a unique identifier for Ugandans. You know, previously you would walk into a bank with your NSSF card, your golf club membership, your voter's card as your ID. Everybody had a different way of being identified. And there was no control of that database to identify that individual or even verify. So right now, with a national ID in place, with a well-managed, regulated ID database at NIRA, which is technologically, placed for us to be able to digitally connect and verify, we're now able, after that law has been passed, to collect credit information from all you digital lenders today. It is now possible. And I think many of you have seen us visiting you, asking you to start sharing credit information with the CRB. What does that do? If we get more data from you, other lenders, apart from the commercial banks, we're able to build the credit scores that Emmanuel and Vincent are talking about. It is now possible for you to do away with all these things of collateral, do away with these things of asking people to come with land titles, and quickly make decisions on your platforms. That credit score supports you in many ways. It gives you, of course, a chance to continue looking at the client who's borrowing from you after time. Because I can't say that we can build a credit score for you after borrowing from a platform in only 2 months. It doesn't make sense. So we need to look at that score and build it slowly. Of course, it has limitations. Not everybody in Uganda probably can be identified, as the lady in Lagos said already. Not everyone there has an ID. But we're encouraging the ones now today who have a national ID, at least those are the individuals, to now get their credit profiles created, and so that we can start building a credit profile for every Ugandan. It is a right. It is a good way of living, knowing that if I walk to a lender, they can identify me and also say, okay, Mama Joyce, you don't need to give me your home land title. You can actually just look at this credit score, which is a good number, talking about your entire borrowing activity, everywhere you go to borrow money. And they confidently say, we can trust the data that is at the bureau and lend you money on that number. So a credit score is running from 900 to 200 as the lowest. So if your credit score is 900, it is a very good thing, and I encourage all of you here who are digital lenders to lend that person money without fear. Because the data we have about that individual, what it means is that we've collected information from the commercial bank's activity, from the digital lenders, from alternative data sources that he has talked about, which might include rentals, how you pay for your television, how you pay for your electricity bills. The footprint is even interesting that we are considering including social media activity. So as long as we get to that point, all digital lenders here will, take up the score as that unique number to use to lend money to people without any fear. So it is inclusive. Is it democratic? That is a word probably which might mean, is it fair? Not everybody is able to have a good credit score number because of maybe mainly two things. If you don't have a footprint, if you don't have any activity and your information is not captured at the bureau, the number will be bad. So you'll be excluded from that privileged lot of people. So what do? We shall have such events organized by high people. We shall encourage Mr. Kawu to continue and work with us a journey, get partners, including government, to reach out to all the corners of Uganda and talk about these things and encourage people to actually embrace using the methodology and the mechanism as it is, to do away with the difficult ways of getting money. Secondly, I think for us at the bureaus now, like you've heard Vincent say, we need to do away with only the traditional data which was from the banks and encourage the use of alternative data. The alternative data is inclusive because probably everybody has a footprint somewhere of how we can measure them. So that is how democratic we want to make it. And those are the efforts I think we shall put in place to make everybody in Uganda included.
How insightful to hear from a Credit Reference Bureau perspective. This is to Wilfred and Helen. The transformative journey of digital has brought a lot of insecurity, especially among our users. There are so many digital loans products. How safe are they? How regulated are they? Tell us, please. Helen.
I must say that at MTN, we really prioritize transparency. Transparency is one of the things that creates trust between us and our customers. And in building trust, it's always important to be as simple and transparent as possible. So our loan products currently, our entire loan portfolio, the charges are they're out there. Even as you opt into any loan, to take up any loan, it's very clear the amount that you will have to pay at the word go. So the customer doesn't have to get surprised about any hidden costs out there. It's at the point of entry. But also, we work with our partners. We work with partners that do the funding for these loans, because MTN is not a financial institution in terms of funding. So we partner with funders and people like Jumo, banks, KCB, Postbank, NCBA, and these entities are licensed. And they're licensed by Bank of Uganda, some are licensed by UMRA. So we work with very credible partners. And in terms of security and of the customer, that's really guaranteed. But also what we're doing is trying to inform and educate these customers about these products and how they work. You'll see, like for currently right now, we have people in the trade trying to educate these customers in different organizations, like basically one-on-ones. We have marketing campaigns. We use different channels. We have our digital channels, our websites, all those have information about all these loans. And we've done campaigns just to try and create that awareness such that the customer doesn't get off guard with what they see. It's very clear. The rates are very competitive and regulated by the Bank of Uganda. So I wouldn't say that anything illegal would be going on in our space, but I want to give the public comfort that whatever is out there is really competitive and regulated. Yeah.
Thank you. Mercy.
Or maybe...
Oh, it was Emmanuel, yes.
Wilfred. So maybe if I can just come and speak on, like from a Jumo perspective. So like Helen was saying, so we are regulated. And what does that mean? It means we have got governance structures in place, local presence. It means that the products that we have out there, they are subject not even one, but several layers of regulatory approval. So I'll give you an example. Jumo in Uganda, we are licensed by UMRA. So any new products that we do have to be approved by UMRA. Now, on the other side, our partner, MTN, the same product will also get approved at the BOU. So it's the same product, meanwhile. So it's getting approved by UMRA, but also the BOU. So that is more than one layer of oversight. So that should give comfort that these regulators are looking into public interest. The other aspect, and on behalf of Jumo, on our side as Jumo, we are registered with the Personal Data Protection Office. So the way we handle data is in line with the laws of the land. But what is also critically important to that ultimate user is consumer protection. So in all our products, we have embedded consumer protection. So if a customer has a query about our product, then where do they go for clarifications, for queries, for complaints? We have that consumer redress mechanism embedded in. Transparency, she's talked into it. In fact, when you look at the loan journey of either Wewole or Mosente, it's in itself informative. A customer gets to learn a few things as they go on to that journey. It's really intentional to ensure that we do financial literacy at every point a customer is taking our product. Also, when we are engaging our customers, our team undertakes programs to ensure that our customers are educated. What do you need to do as a customer to improve your chances of getting credit? If you get credit, what do you need to do? What are the do's and the don'ts? We call it, financial literacy or credit courses. So these are some of the things that we do. I'm just sharing them as Jumo. Maybe others can be able to leverage and learn from them.
Thank you. Thank you, Wilfred. So Emmanuel and Mercy, tell us, how are digital lenders scaling to meet the needs in emerging markets?
Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, let me start by saying that our customers are the kings, all right? And I think it is very, very important to understand exactly what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. Now, because of this factor, we can then tailor a product that would better meet that demand, all right? So we know of the different challenges that they have. We know the limitations that they also have. Some may not have smartphones, some may not even have internet, all right? And some may also be skeptical, all right? They may not know exactly who this FIDO is. So I think it is important to, number one, clear that out. Ensure that the customer knows who you are. Of course, we have had the regulations. They need to know that you're regulated. They need to know that you care about them, and they need to know that you're there to make sure that their goals are also achieved. I think what we are currently doing to ensure that we do the scaling is to take as much information as we can pertaining the feedback of the customer, make sure that we stay the trusted institution that we are to meet the demand that they have for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Mercy?
I'd like to say we've had a lot of what's happening from the members of this panel. There is, non-collateralized credit scoring happening, and I think that's quite important for the industry and for fintech companies in general to be able to implement such when they are pushing out their loaning products. I think what I'd like to talk about more is what more can we do, or how can we further democratize this? As Mr. Chibukam-Kasa said, we are starting to have a lot of credit bureaus in the country. I think they're a bit more now than they were a few years ago. And they are starting to use alternative methods for credit scoring. But I kind of want us to push the envelope further and figure out how do we use these alternative methods to be able to score, to aggregate scores, the scores you do for customers of Jumo, the scores you do for customers of MTN's multiple products, and then the scores you're doing for banking customers. How do we aggregate that to one profile and make sure that even a person like me, who has never gone to the bank to get a loan, has linkage to the financial card requirement that is needed when I go to a bank, right? Because a question arises, if I go to the bank, how possible is it that a loan I took out of Jumo is going to help improve, my likelihood of me getting a loan from the bank? So I want us to get to that envelope, and I think we are getting there with the services that we're offering.
Thank you, Marcy. Ellie? Yes, sure.
The regulations allowed for data that other lenders are dispensing to customers. I can tell you that today, I have all transactions for more cash at the bureau. MTN more cash. Any bank that has been running any digital lending on the mobile or anyhow, all those loans now today are already on your credit report. It is already happening. What is going to be interesting is, of course, how it is going to affect individual borrowers who come and we are not aware that this data now is at the bureau. But we are already having composite scores, which are inclusive of both commercial bank information and digital lending.
Thank you, Eli. I was actually coming to you with a regulatory question, but I'll still ask it. What are the regulatory and policy considerations for lending institutions operating in emerging markets?
I think Vincent touched that very, very elaborately. He talked about growing up as an entity operating in this environment. This environment is very volatile. There's a lot of things I had identified, all of them, but he has mentioned them. I see here regulation is a very key thing in the space which you guys are operating in, so you must be aware. A lot of things happen. I can tell you another story about my growing up. When we came in here, Bank of Uganda found us wanting on a certain aspect, and we received a letter to show no cause. My friend Vincent, your figure was not close to ours. Ours was 500 million shillings to be paid in just 20 days. So that is the kind of environment which is regulated, and you must know it is not a joke. So growing up is the best advice we got today. The other aspect which we must probably look at is consumer protection and credit risk. It's a very key thing. If you're operating in this space, you must respect data protection laws. It can take you down. People will walk into your offices and sue you for sharing information without their permission. So you must be aware that is there. In this market, there's a lot of interest rates and foreign exchange controls. In these markets of ours, there are a lot of anti-money laundering laws, a lot of things to comply with. I also know that Wilfred mentioned the political and economic risks, which are very many. Political instability, economic policy, inflation, and all those things. There are quite many things that a business in Uganda has to look out for, especially when you get licensed or regulated. Technology and digital finance regulation is happening. Already you can feel it. It comes with a lot of challenges, FinTech and digital lenders. There is rapid growth. You're already sitting in a room where only probably 6 years ago, if we sat here as lenders, would be only 33 banks. Today, we issued certificates to 41.
Wow, 41 banks?
41 digital participants here. 5 years ago, we would sit here and only the banks would sit here and say, we are the regulated or registered lenders, authorized lenders in Uganda. Today, we have thousands. So it's dynamic and moving very fast. The tax laws. If you've never been approached by URA on a Monday morning, you will never know what it means to have pressure. When they come to you and ask you, or or we have even picked it from your account already. So in these markets, there's a lot of things to look out for. And I think Vincent mentioned all of them. Let me not dwell too much in them. Yeah.
Thank you. So last but not least, I will ask this question to you all. What lessons can we learn from developed markets that have successfully used KYC data to allow fintechs to better understand customers, increase their credit limits, to offer readily available and affordable credit? Maybe I'll start with Mercy, and we'll move all the way to Helen.
Thank you. I want to draw on the example of buy now, pay later that is quite prominent in other markets where on many consumer shopping websites, you're able to actually get access to these facilities. So for me, I think the lesson we can draw is figure out, okay, we're finished credit scoring and we're offering it through, the mobile platforms, our own owned, apps and through the banks. But how do we push that down to now where the users of our products are? If they need the money for shopping, is it at shopping level? If they need my money to pay for school fees, is it? So for example, I think what I want to really talk about is how do we draw the customer journey to be integrated into other solutions that are already working on the market. So for example, if I want to take a safe border and I need to borrow for it, right? Can I borrow for it in my customer journey for safe border and Jumo is still funding it or MTN is still funding it versus going to MTN and borrowing mobile money to then pay for my safe border when I actually wanted to borrow the money to pay for safe border. So solutions like that.
That's interesting. Thank you. Emmanuel?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. So these developed countries actually have been able to tailor these products to meet the demand of the customer, all right? But I think what stands out for me is the fact that all the information that they're able to gather, at least they're able to validate it, okay? So we at FIDO are into the business of gathering as much information as we can. Of course, we are not able to validate all the information My name, Okete, can be validated by making sure that when I reach out to NIRA, I'm in that database. If I am able to provide maybe my date of birth, my name, plus also maybe my NIN, all right? So we believe each information that customers provide, be it how much they spend on paying your car, being how much they spend on maybe paying for water, what car they drive, etc., is important to help us understand and customize a product tailored to their needs. And that is what we are in the business of doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Wilfred?
Yeah, I think for me, what we should continue embracing is partnerships. I'll give you an example. As I've told you, we partner with the likes of MTN and Airtel. I mean, think about it. We've been able to serve up to 5 million Ugandans. If I had to go to those 5 million Ugandans to ask for their information, say KYC, I mean, it would have taken me a lot of time. But because I'm leveraging this partnership I have with MTN and Airtel, I don't have to think about that. A partner is meeting that need for me. So we should just continue, to leverage and embrace them, which is why such, for example, a forum is very important, because it's bringing all of us together and having these engagements. He was also talking about, the fact that a few years ago, you only had tier 1 commercial banks, submitting CRB information. Now, if you're bringing in other players, you can see how rich his scores are becoming. So it's all about partnerships, is all I can say.
Quite interesting, the value of partnerships. Yeah. Eli, over to you.
I would like to emphasize that a data-driven environment to build these credit scores which you can use is more reliable or very, very well tested. Last week, I saw a police notice on social media where a gentleman had constructed his own jail, a camera for people who have not paid him. And he was actually locking these people up to collect his money. Guys, this is not smart. I think there are better, smarter ways of doing business. We can rely on this data if we all come and participate. Do not fear. This thing is very simple. And just because we talk about it here with a lot of English, it is a very simple mechanism. Come, get accredited as a data provider, because I believe many of you are already registered. When you get accredited, Bank of Uganda gives you a certificate to say this entity has now qualified to share credit information. So you come and submit your information according to the rules. It's like submitting data to URA or returns. It is an Excel format. It is a simple schedule with a data protection officer in your office. He will get trained by all the CRBs, by the way. And there are 4 today. They will train you on how to submit this data, and you will do it monthly using those templates. I know many of you submit returns to URA. It is not any different. It is not complicated. But when we approach many of our members, they get to feel that this thing is some kind of demon. I encourage you to reach out to all the CRBs. Metropole is already ready. We have already accredited more than 20 lenders. They have gotten certificates from Bank of Uganda, and they're already sharing credit information. Some of them are digital, others are using a hybrid. So please come. As long as we have a complete data set of a 360-degree view of borrowers who come to you, your business can't get any better. So thank you.
Thank you, Eli. The message is, it is simple. Helen.
While you were asking, I remembered that while you're on your phone, small searching, social media, Instagram, you're looking at shoes, before you know, a pop-up comes and it's AliExpress with a shoe and price. And then I remembered, I'm like, there's something that the developed countries are doing with our data just picking an insight because you're looking at an Instagram page that sells shoes, then before you know, a pop-up comes and they're prompting you to buy. And what they've already done is integrate that loan lending into that, similar to what Mercy was saying. So basically, AliExpress pops up and is like, okay, you can get a loan for this, like something like that. So I think they're using data more intelligently to serve the needs of the customer and also look at the customer behavior. What is the customer doing? What are they seeing now? What can I propose to them? Something like that. I also want to speak to how the data is being used, because I've done quite some research, and I think that's something we would be exploring. Differentiated pricing. So if you look at the scoring, the customer behavior, how the customer pays back, are they paying back in time? Are they responsible borrowers? Then you're able to have pricing that actually fits that group of customers. So that's one of the things I think they're doing very well. And it's one of the things that I think the industry should also sort of adopt.
Thank you very much, our experts in this field. Digital lending, it's been wonderful having you today. And I hope to our audience, this has been valuable to you all.
We have had several discussions touching on very important issues. Allow me to tell you that you have been a very outstanding audience, and I can tell you we are wrapping up the Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit and now entering into the Digital Impact Awards Africa 2024. There are always two events running hand in hand. We begin with the summit. Within the summit, we give you a cocktail of awards. Thank you so much. And now that we are going into the awards, I'm going to invite our CEO, who will later invite the minister. The CEO is going to give his remarks and later invite the minister to give us speech, after which we shall head into the awards directly. Thank you so much, and welcome Innocent Kawoya.
A friend of mine last evening asked me about whether I personally deserve good things. And I told her that I don't deserve anything, because we have so much of a blessing that God has given us over the time. And for us today, as we celebrate 20 years of doing this work that we've done over the years, the only thing we can start with is thanking God. I commonly call her Mommy, Owekitiwa Honorable Joyce Sebugwawo. She's indeed a mother to us, a patron, a leader, and the best minister by far in this term. Yeah, the best that you'll find in this country. We are so honored, honorable, to always have your ears and your attention and your support. It goes a very long way when you support us. But in this room here, she might the only other co-medalist, like myself. Also, before I continue to address all of us, allow me make a good mention of our good friend, Commissioner of Communication in the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, Mr. Moses Watasa. Yeah, he comes in this room with a lot of experience, and many times he's a teacher to us, helping us understand how we bridge a lot of technology understanding, especially with governance, and also with ensuring that we don't go against the law. Because that is mentioned, allow me in a special way welcome all our panelists, our speakers. Please clap for them. Our distinguished nominees running the Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit that features the Digital Impact Awards Africa for the 11th annual edition. It is more than a decade running this consecutively. Our first event of this kind was at the Sheraton. The second one was here. The 8th and the 9th were at Mistil. You remember what happened in COVID? So we came back to Serena, the home, and also for the fact that the same brand, High People, has been able to run more than 24 awards events within the last 20 years, and that is 13 editions of the prestigious High People Music Awards and the 11th edition of the Digital Impact Awards Africa. Of course, to thank all of you, the organizations, over the last 11 years of awarding and celebrating digital excellence and financial inclusion, we have awarded more than 400 organizations from across the continent and hosted more than 2,000 nominees over the years. Very incredible in mentioning, but also very important in the fact that we've been blessed to spearhead a journey that has transformed, if not billions, more than 600 million of lives. Lately, we are very privileged to partner with Commercial Business Council, and as one of the speakers talked about scaling, we are happy to see our efforts going in more than 20 countries around the African continent. And this is so happening not because we are so great as human beings, but because we've also been blessed to have the support of all of you here. And we thank you so much for supporting us. When I look into this room, there are people I would always want to say thank you to. Some organizations like National Water and Sewage Corporation, who have seen attending each of these events from day one. Yeah, there are people like Standard Chartered Bank, who I have also seen attending each of these. Yeah, coming in to partner with us and support. I have seen MTN before they had the other arm of MTN, MoMo. And I've seen a number of others come in here to support us in different ways. Movit Products, Stanbic Bank, Centenary Bank has also been here for all the years. Yeah, so we appreciate your support and the partnership. But importantly, we appreciate the fact that many of you are bought into the fact that it takes a village to raise a child. This is our child, all of us. The economy is for all of us to grow. If you think you're going to have that very cozy job and be paid well, I don't pray for anyone to have their back broken, but when you cannot work in that organization, they will find ways of sending you out, and you'll see life differently after that. So it's better that now, more than ever, we ensure we do something to create an ecosystem that supports us beyond our workplace. Ladies and gentlemen, as we talk about celebrating 20 years, I am very, very privileged to lead a team of CEOs, founders, very creative, young or old. I'm probably one of the oldest in the team, apart from our board that is slightly older than us, but they wear every kind of character that I saw Vincent present here. Integrity at its best. They have a great work discipline. They are very dedicated to seeing us make a difference. But we are equally invested in what they do. So we are probably the only organization where we freely work with everyone and allow everyone to run something. After all, it is not our right to allow them to start anything. They have the democracy and the power invested in them by our governance that is led by the NRM government to ensure that everyone can start something and do it for themselves. So as we think 20 years, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, introduce the great team that we work with all this time. I don't know where Joseph is. Where is Nicholas? He was here. Please come in front a little bit. Joseph, Nicholas, Charlotte, Bridget, Doreen, Knowlton, George, and everyone, every member of the team. Allow me do this for the first time in 20 years and introduce everyone. Steve, George is on the decks. Where is Cool Cats? Becky. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear Honorable Minister, in my absentia, Nicholas, please step in front. Nicholas happens to also be my young brother, and he's probably one of the people I've known for part of the longest time living in this world. He doesn't want me to say his age, but at least I've known him for more than 30 years. Yeah, he told me that I should not tell people my right age. We shall reach some time when I don't need to do that. So Nicholas leads all the activities that run all this work, especially these events. So these are all operations in any sense. So please thank him for me. Joseph, please step in front. Joseph Kimboa, we have worked with Joseph since 2008, and he's our Chief Content Officer. And as part of the things we do, we are mandated to make sure that content is a part of our daily structure. So please thank Joseph for me. Thank you, Joseph. So for the rest of the team members, I will not ask them to step in front, but I'll maybe talk about each of them. Steve is our creative director. And in so many ways, whatever you see here that is designed has a hand of Steve, Chimuli, and George somewhere, and another George. Yeah, Mazo is a member of and a partner of our communication team. Nick is our community manager. So everything you ever see on our social media, if he doesn't approve, it will not happen. Simple, and is also a member of our community team. Charlotte, please step in front. For Charlotte, you should step in front in so many ways. Yeah. So Charlotte is our FinTech events manager. And for everything women, everything financial technology, digital and financial inclusion, it is Charlotte and under the leadership of our chief operations and the other team that get this work going. Thank you, Charlotte. Bridget, please step in front. So I always regard her as one who holds the highest level of integrity. She doesn't like lying about anything. She's a finance person, and she's our head of finance, and she's the one who understands the things to do with regulators like URA and compliance with data. And we are happy to have you, Bridget. Thank you. Becky is typically from the events team. Director Knowlton, please step in front. Director Knowlton also happens to be my best man from a personal life, and I also happen to be his best man. He's a 9 times award winner for best video director. Yeah. So everything you ever see happening that has a video from high people, he probably has a hand to do in making sure it is done the best way. Thank you, Director Norton. Doreen, step in front. This is our moment. So Doreen works directly with my desk, not my office. We have desks, not offices, for CEO and the likes. But Doreen is a senior program officer in charge of the executive desk or the executive office. Thank you, Doreen. Cool Cats. So Cool Cats is being mentored by all of us, especially myself, our Chief Operations, our Chief Content Officer, and Director Knowlton. He's the most active member of our community communications team. Please thank him for me. Mercy, I always call her Namikolo. Yeah, because she really likes parties. And she's an apprentice, like everyone else. She's also a CEO of her own making, and she's running a startup. She joined us through our Women in FinTech Hackathon program. And a few of the people we meet in the space, we retain them and work with them for a long time. So she's one of those people that we have retained. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for patiently getting to understand the team that is been here to help us make 20 years of greatness. And to the team, on behalf of our leadership, including our patrons, Honorable Joyce Sebugwawo, Honorable David Kavanga, including our board that includes Dr. Frederick Wamala, Mr. John Mark Sevunya, Mr. Miro, and all the other people that are members of our board, I wish to send our appreciation and thank you all. Let us all count to the next 20 years. I'm sure we're going to do this. Because everything I would want to talk about today has been said in a word or two by one or two of the panelists and our speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to request all of you to stand up and let's clap for Honorable until she gets here. Thank you so much.
My commissioner, Mr. Watasa, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, members of the High People Foundation, innovators, leaders, and friends, thank you for coming this wonderful summit celebrating the 20 years of existence. I'm honored to join you today for the 11th Digital and Financial Inclusion Summit and the Digital Impact Awards Africa as we celebrate High People's 20 years of digital innovation and financial inclusion. On behalf of the government of Uganda, I congratulate High People on this achievement and thank you for your dedication to building a more inclusive digital world. High People has played a big role in bringing digital and financial services to communities in need. Your efforts in FinTech, especially through the Women in FinTech initiative, have created new opportunities for women and youth in Uganda's digital economy. The government of Uganda is also committed to closing the digital gap. We have invested heavily in ICT infrastructure, including expanding the National Backbone Infrastructure Project to improve internet access across Uganda, with initiatives like the Digital Uganda Vision, the National ICT Policy, and the e-government strategy. We aim to make Uganda a digitally empowered society by 2040, giving everyone equal access to opportunities. We are working to increase digital literacy, especially in rural areas, through training programs that help Ugandans gain digital skills for the future. Financial inclusion is another key focus, and today, millions of Ugandans have access to financial services through mobile money, allowing them to participate more fully in the economy. I appreciate very much the support of partners like the Bill Gates Foundation in making these programs possible. I commend High People for your continued support in these efforts. This year, you were honored both nationally and internationally. Congratulations, Mr. Kawoya, Innocent, on receiving the National Independence Medal, and to the High People Foundation for being named the most innovative financial inclusion organization in the Middle East and Africa. I congratulate you very, very much. Congratulations, my dear. Your achievements are helping us realize our shared goal of including everyone. As we look forward, let us remember that this summit is not just an hour's event, but a chance to drive change and work together. The government of Uganda and organizations like High People can close the digital gap and ensure no one is left behind. I would like to thank the panelists who demonstrated and who gave chance to everybody, especially the young ones who have been looking for financial support. Because everywhere you go, when you ask them to start their own businesses, they will tell you that we don't have the capital. But now this is a chance you can use. They have demonstrated how they can help you. You just go there, you talk to them well, and you get the money, you get the capital, and you start your own business. Because the government cannot accommodate everybody. The youth in Uganda are too many. You must remember that. You are too many. That's why we are encouraging you every time to start your own businesses so that you can start, employing yourself and employing others, because there are so many others. But if you get a chance like these people who have been demonstrating here, I think it is an opportunity you must use. So the government is also trying to reduce the internet. I know the internet is very, very expensive. Everywhere we go, people are complaining that internet is very, very high. We cannot afford it, and we can't do much without internet. But the government is working very hard with the NITAU to make sure that the internet prices comes down. We have reduced it, by the way, because it was very high before. But now you can see the difference. We are still working very hard to make sure it goes down so that everybody can afford it. With those few words, I look forward our continued work with building a digital future that benefits everybody. I thank you so much for coming and for listening to us. May God bless you all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for those very inspiring words, reassuring words. And of course, we are always honored for the time and all the effort taken. Many thanks. At this point in time, I would love us to have our very first video go on as stated. First, the Financial Inclusion Excellence Award. Those awards will be presented to the winners by the Honorable Minister and the CEO. Thank you.
Financial Inclusion Excellence. The nominees are
You saw the nominees there, and the gold winner for the Financial Inclusion Excellence Award goes to Centenary Bank. Thank you very much, the team from Centenary Bank, and congratulations on the Gold Award. The Diamond Award for Financial Inclusion Excellence goes to Pride Microfinance.
Digital Banking Excellence. The nominees are
The Digital Banking Excellence Gold Award goes to Equity Bank. The Diamond Award for Digital Banking Excellence goes to Standard Chartered Bank. The Standard Chartered Bank, congratulations. The team led there by Mr. Sefa Badu. All right, thank you very much. Let us know the nominees for the Banking Innovation Excellence.
Banking Innovation Excellence. The nominees are
The Gold Award for Banking Innovation Excellence goes to Wendy Digital Wallet by Postbank. Congratulations, team. The Diamond Award for Banking Innovation Excellence goes to FlexiPay by Stanbic Bank. Congratulations. Let us know the nominees for Community MFI Banking Innovation Excellence.
Community/MFI Banking Innovation Excellence. The nominees are
The Gold Award for Community/MFI Banking Innovation Excellence goes to Finca Uganda. The Diamond Award for Community MFI Banking Innovation Excellence goes to Centenary Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, the next category presents a very tricky situation, and in reaching the conclusion on who takes gold must have been a photo finish. Let's know the nominees for the FinTech Startup of the Year.
FinTech Startup of the Year. The nominees are
The Gold Award for the FinTech Startup of the Year goes to PayTota. All right, the Diamond Award for FinTech Startup of the Year goes to Kawu. The word alone is very poignant. Let's know the nominees for the Financial Services Digital Excellence Award.
Financial Services Digital Excellence. The nominees are
if this were the Olympic final and the men lining up for the 100 meters, I think you would be seeing Usain Bolt, Johan Blake, Asafa Powell, Tyson Gay, and you're wondering who is going to dash fast. Interesting there. The gold award for the financial services digital excellence goes to Airtel Money. The diamond award for the financial services digital excellence goes to MTN MoMo. Thank you very much. Let's go to the FinTech of the year.
FinTech of the Year. The nominees are
Wow, this one is an interesting one. The gold award for the FinTech of the year goes to FutureLink Technologies. All right, congratulations. The Diamond Award for FinTech of the Year goes to ClinicPesa. Let's now go to the Consumer Goods and Services Digital Excellence Award. Let's see the nominees for that.
Consumer Goods Digital Excellence. The nominees are
the Gold Award goes to AgriShare. Diamond Award for Consumer Goods and Services Digital Excellence goes to Jude Color Solutions. Thank you very much. Now, the next category is also a very interesting one. Over the last 10 years, there has been tremendous progress in how government departments and agencies do business, and especially how they provide the services and the products. Much of the work that is going on is very commendable when you especially take into consideration the stories that many of us have heard of the lethargic nature and the bureaucracy that is. The fact that these agencies and departments are improving tremendously is one that needs to be celebrated. So, Utilities and Government Services Digital Excellence Awards, let's see the nominees for that.
Utilities and Government Services Digital Excellence. The nominees are
Utilities and Government Services Digital Excellence Gold Award goes to URSB. The Diamond Award goes to NSSF. Congratulations. The next category,
Technology Services Digital Excellence. The nominees are
the Gold Award goes to FinTech. The Diamond Award goes to MTN Uganda. Congratulations. Wow, interesting here. The CEO of the Year Award.
CEO of the Year. The nominees are
Wow, you must pity the team and the judges that go into the picking of CEO of the Year. The nominees are amazing persons, very trailblazing individuals who have been able to put together systems and processes, but Gerard Begumisa of Your Uganda Limited takes the gold. All right, congratulations. The Diamond Award goes to Richard Yego, MTN MoMo. All right, let's have the nominees for the Digital Brand of the Year.
Digital Brand of the Year. The nominees are
Wow. Digital Brand of the Year showcases and brings to us candidates where all these amazing innovations, product rollout, and services do happen. Interesting. The Gold Award goes to none other than Standard Chartered Bank. Congratulations. All right. The Diamond Award for the Digital Brand of the Year goes to MTN Uganda and MTN MoMo. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for all our winners for the awards that have been presented.